Hello everybody. Oh, so I'm going to put Discord on, but the reason why you're not seeing the YouTube chat and why you're seeing a big me and a big game screen is because before I kick off the chat side, we're going to watch, let me just put Discord on. We're going to watch the game that never was. This is the game that was never streamed. This is the battle for third place and, more importantly, trying to clinch that last top 8 place. And it's between IMMOR and Souls. Now, Blazy sent me the replay and thankfully Cougar then sent it on to me. The only problem is, whilst with the replays nowadays you can do the 3 cam and fly overhead, unfortunately you get to lose all the details of the tank names and everything. So, I'm pondering, there's no point in me doing free cam because if I do, you won't see anything other than a load of tanks on Fort Despair. So I'm just going to leave it as it is and we'll take it from there. So this is the first game that nobody's actually seen, really, apart from the players, between IMMOR and Souls in order to clinch that final top 8 place. Now the irony is, both teams have played their hearts out on this particular day, and IMMOR looked like they were going out, and Souls looked like they were surging ahead and going to get that last place. We now know that Souls didn't, that IMMOR did, but we all thought that this game was going to be streamed. Unfortunately, it wasn't streamed. It just wasn't streamed, which was disappointing. So let me just drop that out. Because we'd like to have seen it, because it was the most exciting game of the tournament. On the last day, to be fair, and we didn't see it. So we're riding at the moment with Blazy in his T22, and as you can see, he's put himself in a great position here, overlooking both the route into the B cap and the C cap. You can see how IMMOR have positioned themselves. They've put themselves on a broad front from the A cap all the way down to the C cap, to try and cover as much as they can here on Fort Despair. And we can see that when we look at the team lineups, well, we see that Souls did take 2 Mouses, 2 IS4s. No Mouses for IMMOR, but and a lot of mobility for their side. Now, as I said, Souls at this point have been playing their hearts out. I mean, they had a fantastic final day. And going into this, you thought, it was thinking, because they were so close with beating Akva and on Black Goldville, and you thought, wow, maybe IMMOR have blown it slightly against Kana. But wow, I mean, just wow. I mean, you can see here, as I said, IMMOR's put themselves on a broad front. Now we've got Souls, they've already taken the B cap, and they're consolidating with a lone IS4 here on the C cap, but they're consolidating their team on the B cap area. Blaze is not even bothering with the C cap, trying to get behind the IS4 there of Versetti, and he does put some good shots in. Effalump is also there, and now you can see that Souls are being bled here by IMMOR. Now poor old Effalump is in serious trouble, even though Pan Sultan's there in the mouse. The IS4 of Innerman, and here Blazy is just really pumping a lot of red hot lead there into poor old Effalump. And again, IMMOR now lost 2 tanks, but so has Souls. But look at the hit points that are out there for Souls. Down goes Pencil Case. Great shot there by Blazy. Good movement around the map here in the T22. Now he's going to try and get some shots into Pan Sultan in the mouse. He does, but he bounces. But Pan Pachong here in the Crown Bargain. Oh, double tapped by World Animal and Blazy. Blazy finally taking down Pan Sultan in the mouse, leading Valrider and Versetti as the last 2 standing here for Souls. And again, Souls really didn't put a foot wrong in this game. But wowzers. IMMOR really had the bit between their teeth. Poor old Versetti goes down, leaving Valrider as the last man standing, taken down by Blazy. What a great first game that was. And it would have been nice to have seen that live, yeah? It would have been nice. If we would have had that streamed, look at the damage dished out by IMMOR there, with Blazy knocking out 3,700. But Mr. Timinator came close as well, and so was Dimebag with and World Animal all breaking 3,000. Poor old Souls just not able to do anything against this onslaught by IMMOR. So after that game, IMMOR went 1-up. So let's have a look at the final game. This is the final game. You can see this time Souls, no mouses this time for Souls. 3 Crown Wagons, 3 5s and a 215B. And again, no super heavies to speak of for IMMOR. Again, I'm not going to do the free cam. I'll show you what happens when I do the free cam, which is what I'm not going to do. Because I press the free cam and everything disappears, as you can see. I mean, we lose all the details. So there's no point doing the free cam. We'll keep it as it is. That way you can at least see, you know, who's who, what's what. I mean, don't get me wrong, the free cam in replays is fantastic if you're, you know, doing videos when you don't want that information, but we want the information. So there's no point. Like you see here, there's already a Crown Wagon overlooking B there for Souls. And again, IMMOR on a broad front. Look, covering all the caps. Blazy, considering that the C cap may be free real estate, so he drops in there and he is unopposed. He has Dimebag in support in the 113. Dimebag there supporting the lovely pro camo that he won when he was in a different team. But it's a beautiful camo there on the 113. So now Blaze is going to rotate out, and again IMMOR is still on this broadish front. Although they're now consolidating back towards their spawn to overlook the B cap and the C cap. They've got the C cap, so they're not too worried about that. And you can see that there is a Souls lone. Oh no, there's quite a few of them, mainly all the E5s and that poor old Crown Wagon there, pushing down the flank from the A cap. In fact, almost the entire Souls team, in fact it is the entire Souls team, are now on that flank. Blazy coming up through the middle here. He's going to try and look, oh, but no, there is also a Souls tank just overlooking that B cap. And I believe it is a Crown Wagon. No, it's not, it's an E5, so, you know, it's different when you haven't got the free cam to go and have a look all the way around the map. So again, now there's a brawl between IMMOR and the Souls in the area just outside of IMMOR's spawn point. It's the 215B that was overlooking the cap, and that is driven by Heffalump. So Blazy's now going to try and get around the back of Heffalump here and give Heffalump a bit of a hard time, and he misses the first shot. But now he's round the entire flank of the Souls team. Great first shot into Pan Sultan there. Pan Sultan going down. But so both teams now lost 2 tanks. But again, you can see the Light McQueen going down. Now Heffalump is getting the brunt of it here. He's going to try and push. Now Visetti and the Crown Bargain's being bullied. And it's going downhill rapidly here for Souls. They've now lost 3 tanks but been bled. Down goes Dimebag, however. So Heffalump turning it round a little bit, putting the pressure onto IMMOR. It's now 3-on-3. It's not like Souls are down and out, but Visetti's going to go down here. Down he goes to Blazy. Blazy down trying to get around onto Valrider, and he gets a good shot into the front of Valrider's Crown Wagon. It looks like Valrider could be on his long reload. Another good shot here by Blazy. I'd love to be able to do overhead cam. I wish this was streamed. It would have been so much more exciting, I'm telling you. But at least we're getting to see it, courtesy of Blazy and Cougar of IMMOR. So Heffalump in the 215B still alive there. Now comes Blazy, puts a good shot in, tries to get the track, doesn't manage it, but damages the track. Will put the final kill shot in though, leaving poor old Valrider in the Crown Wagon, last man standing. Down he goes. IMMOR turning over Souls there to get that 3rd place. And that is just fantastic. I mean, as I said, this time Blazy taking 4 kills. Not top damage this time. Heffalump doing just over 4,000, so doing what he could. But wow, what a fantastic game. And as I said, I really wish that would have been streamed. But it wasn't. So it has been now. So that was that. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just do that. Let's just sort everything back out again. So bear with me, because we haven't got a proper coffee chat. We don't want to. That was all we were going to do there. So there we go. Yay! Oh dear, everything's gone wrong. Look, everything's gone completely wrong because I changed all the settings. There we go. Settings are back. So, oof. Anyway, so sorry about that. So now I can jump into. Oh, hang on a minute. No. Now I can jump into Discord. Hopefully that will be good. But oh, I'm in the wrong Discord. Hang on, bear with me. Oh yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? There we go. Now I'm in the right Discord, but I can't hear anybody. Hello? Anybody there?
Good evening.
Ah, there we go. There is somebody there. So, so brief interlude. As I promised, I would play the Souls versus IMMOR games to Cougar. She kindly sent them across to me, so that's what that. And yeah, it was a darn shame it wasn't streamed. I mean, I loved that game. It was a great game. I mean, I watched the replays myself earlier, and it would have been really exciting to see that on the day. I mean, the second game there was a lot closer than the first game. The first game, IMMOR really put a lot of pressure onto Souls, but boy, the last game there was a lot closer. It was a lot closer. So yeah, I'm a bit miffed that we didn't get to see it, but it happens. It happens. But we've seen it now, which is good. We got to see how IMMOR got there, rather than just having a look at the cold arse facts. Settings versus Fugit fight. Yeah, it was because I changed everything around, Spicy, to do that. So anyway, how is everybody? We haven't done a coffee chat for a month because there's been Pro Tours around this time of day on Asia for me. So that's why we haven't been doing them. It's been pretty difficult to reschedule them after that. But we're back now. And no doubt we've got quite a lot of stuff to talk about. Before we do, I just want to raise something. I don't know if it's been resolved yet, but some of you may have noticed earlier today or late last night that Pantherflea has been hacked. As far as I'm aware, he has been hacked the same way that Meadsy was hacked, whereby somebody effectively managed to take control of his channel and delete all his content and then started streaming. So I have spoken to Pantu, to be honest with you, asking if everything's fine. He is on the case, and he's got some support from other areas. So he's hoping that it'll be resolved sooner rather than later. But yes, he has effectively been hacked. Simple as that, really. So, you know, nobody likes to see that. Nobody likes to see somebody's YT channel getting hacked for no reason whatsoever. And it is no reason other than a bunch of a-holes. And like I said, it's the same as what happened to Meadsy. Meadsy got hacked in the same way, and they took all his content out and started streaming him on his thing as well. So it seems that it's all one of those things, sort of coordinated, so to speak. So hopefully he'll get it sorted, because as I said, nobody likes to see that kind of nonsense. So there we go. Right, with that, I haven't played for a while because been busy. But what's in the store? Let's always have a look what's in the store. So there's lots of things. If you want to spend things on things. So here we go. Look, there's all this stuff that you can spend on. The German invasion. Oh dear. You can get tanks. E25, Snowstorm, Jagdtiger, Scorpion G, Louvre, E75, VK168. Basically anything that's a premium tank in German. Yeah. But it's going to cost you 15,000 gold. And it's a random reward from that list. So you just never know. But I heard people are getting the VK90 and stuff. And you can get the tier 6 container. Then you get the Defenders, Mark 1, T28 and IS3 for 20,000 gold. Now to be fair, the Mark 1 is good. Not sure about the IS3 and T28. They're okay, but they're not spectacular, but they're okay. 20,000 gold for 3 tier 8 tanks? I don't know, is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know, what else do you get for that? You get 3 tanks, 3 garage slots, all the equipment. So the equipment alone for that tier 8 is going to be what? About 1 million? But, well, what is it, about 1 million, 2 million? 2 million? 2 million credits? So that's 6 million each tank for all the equipment. And then you're getting lots of certificates as well. And of course, you get the Assassin's Dagger avatar. I mean, that makes it for everything, that does. To be honest with you, just the avatar. Or you can get the tanks individually. I mean, the Defender Mark 1 is 10,000 gold. The T28 is 7,500. The IS3 is 7,500. Goes to show that the Defender Mark 1 is clearly ranked as a better tank because it's more money. And to be fair, it is a better tank. I mean, it's a great little tank, the Defender Mark 1. It's got a really good gun, really good gun. Then you got the K91 and of course the T2020, but this is the EU store, so I don't know if the T2020 is available on NA. It normally isn't. It's normally the Panzer IV Hydra, so you'd have to check on the NA side because I don't know. Then you can get the tank. I mean, both those tanks together is 12,500. They're moving down. I mean, no, it's not the T2020. What I'm talking about is the KV220 T. Yeah, not the T2020. T2020 is rubbish. It's a horrible tank. Don't like it. Don't like it. I think it's a pants tank. It's basically like an IS3 with a stock STB turret. Basically. Anyway, not a great tank. 9,000 gold as well. So it's a lot cheaper than what it was when it first came out. Then you've still got the German invasion stuff going on as well. Type 59 and Type 62, 8,000. That's not a bad deal, 8,000 to be fair. I mean, okay, it's a tier 8 and a tier 7, but it's not a bad deal, 8,000 gold. Or 5,500 for one and 3,000 for the other. But then, obviously, the Rudy, but that is that's season coins. So you should have been, if you need to play your tournaments for that, guys. But it is a great tank, the Rudy is a great tank. And then there's a lot of other bump there, look, boosters. Oh, avatar container. Should all get an avatar container. 100 gold. Why not get an avatar container? Makes sense to me, that. I'm joking, by the way. It's called sarcasm. I don't know anybody who would buy avatar containers when you get them free. But there we go. Looking in the bundles, well, of course, you got the FCM 36 for about, what's that? That's about $3. Yeah, because, you know, it's the FCM 36, one of the worst tanks in the game. So, well worth the money, yeah? Well worth the money. This is actually not a bad thing. The subscription for gold and XP, that's actually not a bad thing. It's costing about what? That's costing about what, $7, $6, $7, and you get sort of 250 gold every day for 30 days. I mean, that's not bad when you think about it. That's a lot of gold, and you get 1,000 XP. That's 30,000 XP you get. That's not bad when you think about it. For $7, it just means you have to log into the game every single day, and if you log into the game every day, then you're gonna get, you know, 7,500 gold and basically 30,000. Is it 7,000? Yeah, 7,500 gold and 30,000 XP. What more do you want? I mean, I think that's fantastic for $7. It's a lot of gold, really. So something to consider if you play every day and you've got a spare $7 or whatever it is. It's not bad. Then you've got these. Oh dear me! As you can see, I haven't got the other AMX Defender containers. Why? Because I bought those yesterday when I was speaking to somebody who said that he bought, you know, the one that buy two get one free or whatever it was. I bought those, spent about $10, didn't get anything apart from lots of credits that went to my lots of credit pot, as you can see. but it's the AMX 12. It's the AMX Defender, okay, and $184.99 roughly equates to about $50, okay, and that will give you 10. Now it does come with charms, but you've got to get the 20 odd charms. That is a lot of money for a defender, and it's got a 5% drop chance, okay, 5%. So again, guys, you know, you're playing with fire. Realistically, you are playing with fire, because there's no guarantee you're going to get it. Some people have been lucky. I don't know what the tank's like. I've not played it yet. I have got it on my press account, I believe, but I've not played it yet, so I couldn't tell you. But 5% drop chance for another defender type tank. Wow, that's up to you really. And that's all in the store. So there we go. Now I'm going to turn the sound off the store and get some replays up and running, I guess. Oof, there we go. And let's get into other things. So, not played for a while. So how's everybody doing? How's it all going? Because we've been doing the tours mainly, and you know, there's been a bit of controversy in the tours. There's always controversy in the tours, to be fair. We can talk about that later. As for the game, wow, I mean, we got realistic mode and realistic tournaments are going on at the moment, and my team unfortunately didn't get through. We got to the semi-finals, but hang on a minute, I just turned that bloody noise off. I just turned the noise off and it's not letting me. Hang on. It's only a first class, it's on USIF, but I need to turn the noise off. Oy, oy, oy. It's down to 0, so there we go. Let's try that again, shall we? Ah, there we go. Now there's no noise. So, yeah, my team didn't make it through. We had a good laugh, though. I only played one game. I let my team play. I mean, that's the idea, isn't it? So we had some good fun. But I believe Every Good Name Is Taken's team is through, along with Amunet's team. So, you know, they will be streamed this evening, tonight. So, you know, if you want to watch these realistic tournaments, then there are people there. Who are still doing it, so it's good. It's good fun. And realistic tournaments are quite nice, actually. It's really, really a barrel of laughs. So we had some great fun last night. Shame we didn't get through, but hey, it happens. We still had good fun. And I'm pretty sure that the guys who played, because I didn't, I played one game at the end. I'm pretty sure the guys who played got some decent credits for playing, and we had some great laughs. So what else has been going on? What do you guys want to talk about? Come on. You must have something to talk about. Anyone? Somebody? Nobody? Well, it's all quiet on Discord. So we've got, what else we got? Updates are coming soon, no doubt. New tanks are coming with those updates. Seriously, no one's got anything to say. It's craziness, man. Just crazy. Interesting. Utterly bizarre. We haven't done a coffee chat for ages. And no one's got to say, I'd like it if realistic mode was permanent. It's not permanent. The reason being is obviously they rotate the modes between the things like realistic, gravity, mad games, burning games, and uprising. Have I missed one? There's no one I've missed. I don't think so. So I don't know what's coming next. I don't know which one's coming next after that. But yeah, they rotate them around. And I'm looking forward to the to the gravity mode tournament. If they ever do that, that'd be great fun. You know, they've done a realistic mode. Do a gravity mode tour. That'd be hilarious. Everybody flying around in their tanks. It'd be great, man. It would be great. But chance of that happening are pretty slim, I think. I think it's pretty slim. But who knows? Who knows? Does it? That's a really good question, actually, Cat Undo. And it's something that we've also raised with Wargaming. And I mean, when the first Battle Pass came out, it was more successful than they expected because it's only like it's what $5 a Battle Pass, and you know you're getting a lot of stuff. Nobody really gets the Battle Pass for the tank, but you do get a lot of other stuff thrown in there, and I think it took them by surprise. Now, that being the case, what they're doing, therefore, is firstly capitalise on the fact that people like battle passes, and they're sort of bringing them out every update. No, do I agree with that? Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, I think they should calm them down a little bit and not do them so regularly. Give some breathing space between the two, because if you after a while the novelty wears off. You know, there's only so many tier 6 tech tree variant type tanks that you want, okay? Because not many people realistically, when they played the game for a long time, is going to stay down in tier 6. So this is the thing. I mean, you know, what tanks have we got? We got the Agent, we got the Thunder. We got the Icebreaker. What else did we get? What else have we got? There's just 3 of them. I've hardly played the Thunder. I've hardly played the Agent. I've very rarely played the Icebreaker. And the Rudolph. That's another one. I've played the Rudolph like once or twice. That's okay.
The Eraser.
And the Eraser. I've hardly played that as well. So you know, I mean. It's not the tanks, is it? People aren't doing the battle passes for the tanks. And if you've just seen the garage, I mean, you can spend. There's loads of bundles out there for resources and this and that. So you have to wonder, should they calm down a little bit? And I think, yeah, they should. I think, yeah. And I think they should because, like I said, people aren't going to be playing. They'll play the tanks and the novelty wears off, and then they'll sit there and collect dust in your garage. And you know, unless of course, you know, you're a tank collector and you collect those tanks, then that's different because you want every tank in the game if you're a tank collector. But
They should calm down the battle pass like every 2 weeks, 2 months. It's gonna be better because
yeah, they should. I think.
the life in school.
I mean, the idea of the battle pass is twofold. Firstly, it's obviously to generate revenue for wargaming, but secondly, it's to get you to play the game as well. Because if you buy a battle pass, then it only gives you a certain period of time to get to the top level. So it's kind of forcing you to play the game, yeah, to make the most out of the battle pass, which I don't think is a bad thing. In all honesty, I don't think it is. But it's like that subscription thing we saw earlier. You know, you can buy that subscription, and it forces you to play the game sort of every day for 30 days, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad. I think it's a great idea, doing it that way. But hey, battle passes, yeah. I mean, they're coming out too frequently. They are coming out. So yeah, I do think they are too frequent. I think they need to calm down a little bit on those. Mr. Rock and Roller. So let's talk about the most stupid matchmaking seeding in season tours. Well, I don't think that's fair. I think autumn season was just as bad. To be honest with you, I don't think winter season it could be said to be the worst. I think autumn
Because
season.
they're the worst.
Well, but I do agree it's even worse than autumn season for the EU server, though.
Well, I don't
Yes, I
know.
agree.
I mean, we're talking about the matchmaking here. I mean, what is it? Is it? I mean, whose fault is that? I mean, I don't know how they do the matchmaking, guys.
No one.
All we know it's meant
It's
to
a
be.
random generator.
It's meant to be no. It's not a random generator. It's meant to be strongest weakest principle. Clearly, it's not working. To be honest with
It's
you,
like every
No,
online
no.
multiplayer game.
no, it's not random. It's not random generator. Spicy. Not in the tours.
Yes.
It's
We have to
it's
fix it.
seeded. It's seeded via the 7 best players in the team, the win rate of the 7 best players in the team, and that is a very, very bad indicator to measure how good a team is.
Yeah, but we had that in autumn, is what I'm saying. We had the
Yeah,
same win
yeah,
rate seeding in the autumn season. I mean,
that's true.
what's interesting is the tours are for all intents and purposes, even the PYSs, it's basically the professional tour season. And I had a long stream the other day with Jack, and as I said in that stream, all professional sportsmen, no matter what game you're playing, you're looking for an edge, you're looking for an advantage. And to be perfectly honest with you, and to be perfectly frank, because I went back and had a look at all this, the 100% win rate accounts have always been there. We've just never complained about them before, for various reasons. Because spring season last year we had tickets. Summer season it was tier 8, so nobody was really caring because nobody was really serious. And then autumn season the tickets had disappeared fully, and we'd gone and all of a sudden we're seeing the highlights of the 100% win rate accounts and the effect they have on the seeding. But that's always been there, and teams have always used 100% win rate accounts every now and then to gain that advantage. It's just being emphasized more because the tickets aren't there anymore, and it's always, but I've been told, and I don't know how true this is. I mean, all I can say, I've had it on good authority that 100% win rates will not make a difference, going forward. So if that's the case, then 100% win rates, will be irrelevant, to be honest with you. But I mean, I don't know how the win rate, how the seeding fully works. All I'm told is that's strongest to weakest. I don't know how it works fully, to be perfectly honest with you. In Wargaming, keep the a closely guarded secret, okay? So I don't know how they work it effectively, because we do see anomalies. And whilst Jack mentioned there, on Asia, on EU, I've seen anomalies on Asia, not because of manipulation, so-called, or 100% win rate accounts, or whatever you want to call it, but where it's meant to be the strongest, weakest principle. I've seen clans like, RN teamed up with ID on the first day, and they go out and they don't get to progress through the tournament, and RN was meant to be one of the strongest clans. So I don't know how they're going to work it going forward, but it's clear that something
They
needs
should
to be
fix
done.
one thing, the matchmaking. The same clan guys, clans, they do countdowns, and that do countdowns. You can sometimes fight 4 to 5 mates in one team.
Yeah, but I do countdown
Something like that.
spicy, and countdowns are allowed. The thing I've
Yeah, good.
argued in the past is that it's. I mean, Jack mentioned there. Oh, it's not a true reflection. The at the moment is not a true reflection of the teams or whatever. Well, I would argue that sometimes the win rate is not a true reflection of the player, because nowadays, to be perfectly honest with you, nowadays the game is, to an extent, I would say at least 40% dependent upon your team rather than you yourself, because sometimes the teams are so terrible with re-rolls and new players rushing through the tiers that regardless if you've got a 60, 65 or whatever percent win rate, your team could be absolutely dreadful, inexperienced, and all of a sudden you start losing games. So, is win rate a true reflection in random battles, a true reflection of someone's ability? Now, a lot of people have bemoaned the 100% win rate, and I just want to point something out. Somebody with a 100% win rate, that they may have played 1, maybe 2 battles in random mode, but they could have played, say, 7,000 battles in ratings. And this is where it becomes an issue. Who are we to say or dictate or force people in playing a game mode they may not particularly like? Not everybody likes random. Not everybody likes it. you know, there are a few players out there who like playing just ratings or just the fun modes. And what we're saying is these players can't, you know, should be penalised somehow because they've got a 100% win rate and therefore they shouldn't play in professional tours. Well, that's nonsense, to be honest with you. And, you know, it is nonsense. But then there's the next problem, which is players don't even have a tier 10 and they've got a 100% win rate and they get drafted into a team to boost the win rate of the team. Now, that's a different argument, to be honest with you. And that is, to an extent, sort of manipulating the system. But the system is broken and the system needs to change. It's as simple as that. And we need to move away from this, you know, situation whereby players are forced into a game mode they may not want to play. Now, you know, I know win rate has always been a big thing in the tournaments. You go to any professional clan, in most professional clans will only consider you if you've got a 65% plus win rate in X amount of thousands of damage on tier 10 or whatever. So win rate is a big indicator for the clans. Okay, as simple as that. So, and that prevents a lot of players who are probably quite very good at tournaments in, say, I don't know, the 55% mark, not getting into the clan. And why is that? Well, because of win rate seeding. Because they're not going to draft in somebody who's on 55, 58% win rate into their clan, because it's going to affect their win rate overall, and therefore it puts them at a disadvantage. So again, players are discriminated against in that respect. So, I mean, I'd like it to go completely. Oh, that was IMMOR. That was your game. Rolling out in the T-54 Re2 Shark. So there you go, look. We saw IMMOR earlier against Souls. So, yeah, I don't know is the honest answer. It's a very complex thing because there's a lot of other things that that come into play. So whilst I agree that 100% win rates have the ability to, you know, make issues with the seeding, on the same token, I'm also sat there thinking, well, who are we to say players must play randoms, and they're not allowed to play this? You know, we're dictating to people. Is that fair, really? I don't know. And I don't know. It's just a very... It's a hot subject, I think. Hot topic, let's say. Oh, there you go. Is this an AMX Defender? Oh, it is, look. It's Napoleon Bonaparte and an AMX Defender. So this is what they look like. So, whoa. So, is Jack still there? Because Jack can talk while I now start looking at everybody's responses on YouTube. Because no doubt Jack's got a lot of things to say on this.
You mean with seeding?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this season is even worse than the autumn season because we are seeing a lot more clans using the 100% win rate accounts to boost their team in the seeding. So I mean, there are countless of examples, and I don't think it's kind of appropriate to mention them all in this stream. but at the very least, the last autumn season, I think we only see like around three clans using 100% win rate accounts, or like 3 to 4. I think at least 4. But I mean, this season we are seeing at least like 10, I think, on the EU server, which is somewhat annoying to be honest with you.
No, it's only because it's only because they you know they've got they know it's there, and I mean, let's just go back to autumn season. At one stage on the EU, one of the clan that was ranked top, hadn't even beaten any of the top 8, lost against all of them.
No.
Yeah, they were ranked top, and I think where did they come? They came 15th or 14th or something in the end. They were very low indeed, and that was autumn season.
Yeah.
So you know, and we've had to an extent similar this year, where you know some clans have
There is one team that has used 3 100% win rate account, didn't even finish close to the top 16.
Well, there you go.
So
you know, but they realise after autumn season that you know it gives you an advantage, and it's not against the rules. So, and everybody
Nope.
said it autumn season to Wargaming, guys, change this loophole. You know, make it fairer. Don't penalise the players and penalise the clans, but make the win rate make the seeding better and more fair. And they haven't. And if they don't, then the clans are going to still completely use whatever benefits are out there for them. That's as simple as that, really. And I don't blame them, because why wouldn't you? And the old argument, as I said the other day, is, you know, let's say we've got 100 clans playing in winter season in the PYS. And let's say out of those 100 clans, 10 of them are using 100% win rate accounts, let's say. Okay? Now, we've got two arguments here. We've got argument number one, which is 90% of the clans are open and honest and sportsmen, and 10% are dishonest and bad sportsmen. Conversely, we've got the other argument, which is 10% of the clans are smart and clever, and 90% are just pure idiots because they're not taking advantage of the same thing. And this is what I mean. I mean, it can go both ways, and in either way, I don't think the clans are to blame. I still think, personally, if you're gonna have loopholes which are there, they will always be exploited. And once they've been made aware to the organizer has an obligation to shut down that loophole and change their system. We all said in autumn, this was not fair. 100% win rates is not fair, and they haven't closed it down. They've got to shut it out, and I don't know how. I mean, they're telling me they're going to do that, but they haven't as of yet, and they need to. It's got to be closed out. There needs to be a fairer way to seed the clans. There's got this is a wild one sample in a T22. Look, there you go. So we'll see what happens in spring season, because that's when they're hoping to roll it out, I think.
Right.
So yeah, Mr. Rock and Roller is, because he asked the question, and he says, yeah, his point is if they don't do anything about it, more and more teams will use it in the spring season. Absolutely. That's the point, Mr. Rock and Roller. That is the point. And this is my argument. Pressure needs to be placed upon the organizer, ergo Wargaming, to find a better way and to do something about it, so it's no longer used. Because you'll get to the point where it won't be one or two 100% win rate accounts. It'll be out of a team of 9, because there'll be 9, you will have 4 100% win rate accounts. What's that? What's a My Auto Tune? I don't know what that is, Hunky. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, we saw how bad the 100% win rate account can have for the seeding. But also it's kind of service specific too. So EU server is different in a way that the proportion of competitive teams is the lowest for. I mean, there are on average around 60 to 100 teams participating in the Pro Skill tournaments, and we have around, like, I would say around 15 teams playing this really competitively, around somewhere around that number. And yeah, if you do the maths, that's like around 10 to 20%. But when you compare it to like Asia server, where there are around like 30 teams playing in the tournament, but there are also like around 14 to 15 teams playing the tournament very competitively. That means we're seeing around like 40% of the teams being very competitive. So what I mean is that for Asia server, if you use a 100% real account, chances are you still will meet a very competitive team at a really early stage. So we are seeing some teams on the Asia server using the 100% real account, but the advantage they have isn't really that big. But for the EU server, because the proportion is lower, they are bound to face much weaker teams at an earlier stage, so they benefit more from that. So it's kind of interesting to
But
know.
is it just that though, or is it? I mean, you know, if you because you can't do a straightforward comparison server to server, and the reason I
Yeah.
say that is because take EU for example. At one stage, I saw that there were what 67, 70 teams registered to play in
Yep.
PYS. On Asia, you're getting nowhere near that number. Nowhere near. Um,
Nowhere near. Yeah.
so you've got a smaller base than you have on
Yeah.
EU. I haven't personally got the numbers for CIS, which is an even bigger base than EU. So and I don't
Yeah.
know how many clans, and I'm not talking about the top clans here, I'm talking about clans overall. How many clans on CAS are using 100% win rate accounts? Because there's
Oh.
probably hundreds.
Yeah.
You know, and that's probably no exaggeration because they're incredibly competitive. And, you know, if Asia, for example, had, I don't know, 65 clans registering, then I think you'd
Yeah.
see the numbers of the 100% win rate accounts going up because the chances then of meeting a notable clan early on is obviously completely changed. Now,
Yeah.
I've seen this with the QTs. I mean, for example, in on EU, we have 5 tours in our QTs, be it tier 6, tier 8, or
Yep.
tier 10. We have 5. There are 5 games to play. In Asia, there's only 4.
Yeah.
There's only 4 because
Yeah.
they struggle to get.
A lot of teams.
Yeah, they struggle to get teams to play. And this is one
Yeah.
of the problems that we've got, and it's the same with NA to an extent. I mean, I think NA.
And they also got four stages as well for
Yeah,
the
I think NA's only got
if I
4
remember
stages in
correctly.
their QTs, whereas CIS and EU have got 5
Five.
because
Yeah.
obviously there's a lot of clans playing. Now, if we saw the overall clan competitive base increase on both NA and Asia, then we would see more 100% win rate accounts and more this and more that. But we're not seeing that on those servers, so it's not
We
it's not
cannot
really
like
a
define
straightforward
like the.
comparison.
But the point is, we cannot really define the increase in the number of competitive teams through the 100% win rate account, though. But I mean, the point is, at least for the Asia server, we're
Saludo de
seeing at least
Silva, how
more
you
than
doing?
8 teams playing really competitively this year, and there is a much higher proportion of competitive teams over the non-competitive teams in for the Asia server and then the EU server. Not because Asia server there are like a lot of teams playing, but then because Asia server don't have a lot of doesn't have a lot of teams playing, while EU server has a lot of teams playing. So if you do the percentage, then there is a higher percentage for Asia than EU. If you see what I mean there.
I do, but I don't know if I necessarily disagree. I don't know if I necessarily agree. I mean, I agree that Asia overall as a server is getting really its feet under the table on the tournament scene, and we are seeing a more competitive tournament for that server. But then I look at EU, and we have not got the usual top 4 this year. And when I say that, the usual top 4 on EU is Endgame, was Legion, Loka, and Raid. Raid are not there.
And all,
Loka are
yeah.
not there, and Legion disappeared because Legion sort of disbanded after Blitz Cup. But Loka and so did Loka to an extent, but Raid didn't. Yet Raid are not in the top 4. So we've got clans in the top 4 that were never there. I mean, you could argue that they were. I mean, Aqua is sort of an amalgamation of Legion players and a few other players, and they you know. But then we've got seven Turks. I mean, who the hell was 7 Turks? Where did they come from? You know, and then we've got Serenity, and again, Serenity is filled with really good players as well, from notable clans. You know, it's not like these are 9 guys thrown together and they've suddenly got good. They've all got vast experience in clan wars.
Legion. Then have faith on Legion that one day that they might come back.
Yeah, but they're not there now. Spicy is the point. But then we've got other clans that are moving up. I mean, IMMOR have finally broken into the top 8. you know,
I
Souls.
mean, they did an auto season as well.
They did,
That's
but
fair.
you know, and they're getting better and better. Kana have come from nowhere again. I mean, Kana used to be notable on the Clan War circuit. They've got good players, but they weren't really around last year, and now they're back into the top 8. So we are seeing a more competitive scene as well on EU. The difference
True.
being is there's lots more clans fighting it out on EU, and I have seen a closer top 8, and it's you know, even though we've
Yeah,
now got a
that's
defined
true,
top
though.
8, this is the closest I've ever seen a top 8 on EU for a long time, where we've still, if
Yeah.
you still have a look at the points cups wise, you know, there is literally, I mean, on the last day, Souls and IMMOR, there were 175 points separating them. That's nothing. That's nothing. And, you know, when you then start looking down at who came 10th and 11th and 12th, they were so close. And that makes it ultra
Yeah.
competitive. Now, when I then switch over to Asia, you know, I've got, you know, I haven't got the same sort of thing at the top. At one stage it was, oh, is it going to be RN? Is it going to be Cats or is it going to be Calm? And on the last day it was like, well, it can only really be Cats. Nobody else is in the running. So it wasn't as tight, is what I'm trying to say. So whilst I agree
It's-
that Asia as a server has become more competitive than what it used to be, I don't think it's more competitive than any other server, so to speak.
But no, yeah, I agree with that point, but I think you completely misunderstood my point because I was talking about like the effects of 100% win rate accounts.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. I mean, if more clans played on Asia, then we would see more. I think we would see more 100% win rate accounts, and
Probably, yeah, but
you know, and I think
but I
what,
was
and like I said, I mean, the start point is how many clans on RU or CIS, whatever you want to call it, use 100% win rate accounts, and you know, we will see a percentage roughly of that server. And then we'll move down with the next biggest server, realistically, which is EU, and is it comparable?
Yeah.
And then we'll move down to NA, is it comparable? And then we finally get to Asia, is it comparable? And it probably is, to be fair. I don't know. Without doing detailed analysis, and that detailed analysis means you sort of have to look at every single clan who registers a team on CIS, on EU, on NA, and on Asia to see, you know, is this across all the servers? You know, is it 10% of all of the clans, or is it 5%, or is it this percent? I don't know without doing the comparative analysis, because I know
No,
for a fact in RU or CIS, whichever server. I mean, Innerman's here. He's not going to. He very rarely speaks because he's probably at work at the moment over there in Cyprus. But you know, Innerman knows quite a lot about the CIS server. Maybe he could shed some light on that. I don't know because I don't look at my FPS. The game is so bad. Have you noticed the FPS just dropping down to 37?
It depends what you want to know. Hello, guys.
Hey mate, how many do a lot of CIS clans use 100% win rate?
Yes.
There you go.
And most of those teams also use a hell lot of teams, because you know, if you make like 5 teams and there are 5 rounds,
Yeah.
one team meets Mercy, other teams meet 7 stars, but the third or fourth team, they meet no one and they're as finals.
Yeah. And this is what I'm kind of trying to point out, Jack. I mean, because I mean it's prevalent on CIS as far as I understand, and it's the biggest it's the biggest tournament server. I mean tournaments are massive on CIS. They bring a lot more clans to it than all the other servers. So if it's prevalent over there, then you know it's going to be equally as prevalent on EU, comparably, and it's going to be equally prevalent on NA, comparably, and then comparably again on Asia, which always goes back to my point. We know it's there, we know it exists. Wargaming have to shut it down. They've got to shut it down.
I mean, my point has always been that loophole has been shut down. But then, the effect of those 100% using 100% real accounts differ from region to region. Some
Yeah,
regions
they
they
will do.
suffer a lot more with
Yeah.
that effect, and some servers do not suffer as much for that effect for the 100% win rate account effect. That's my whole point here.
Yeah, but as I said, I mean, you can't compare an apple to an apple because it's not strictly apple to apple. It's more apple to a pear. I mean, I can't say CIS, for example. I personally can't compare the CIS server to EU. I can't because there's a lot more clans. It's a lot more competitive. The style and the approach to it is completely different, and it's the same with I can't compare Asia to EU. The gameplay, the style, the approach. It's the methodology and the mentality is different. Funnily enough.
Yeah. I mean, you're right about this, but that's not my point here. It's just by maths that the effect is different across different servers. Just purely maths we're talking about.
No, I know, but you
We're
can't.
not
You
talking
can't.
in-
The thing is, you can't. Maths is great, but you can't you can't put it in everything, unfortunately, because you. It's like, for example, I'll give you an example. So during the 1960s, the Americans were fighting in Vietnam, yeah, and they brought Robert McNamara in, and Robert McNamara used to work for Ford, okay, and he was like a statistical genius, Robert McNamara, which is why they brought him in. And the Americans couldn't work out how they could gauge if they were winning the Vietnam War or not. Okay? So McNamara came up with this mathematical statistical methodology. Guns captured, VC killed, VC captured, this happened, and it was like 100 and something checkpoints that would point in the direction that yes, we're winning, or no, we're losing. And he took it to the Pentagon, and the Pentagon said, yeah, this is brilliant. However, there's one question missing. And he said, what's that question? What do the North Vietnamese think? So you've got all these statistics and all these parameters to say, yes, we can show that we're winning the Vietnam War. But one of the questions was, what about the North Vietnamese? What do they think? Because none of these equations out there. It's the same with maths. I mean, I know where you're going with this, and I agree with you. But there are also then things on the ground that you have to take into consideration. And those things on the ground are you can't strictly compare server to server. It's just you just can't do that really. It's not possible. Oh, my camera's just gone. Bye, camera. Because as I said, I mean, it's like you can't realistically compare the Asia server to CIS. You just can't do that. It's not possible. It's impossible because the servers are just so different. Just so different. Right, let's see if I can get my camera back. I don't know what happened there. YouTube's having there we go. I'm back. Yay! I don't know why YouTube's having a hissy fit. But it was, and it is, and it has. But it seems to be okay now. But no, the point is, and the point will still be, 100% win rate accounts. The system needs to be changed. That's the main point.
Yeah, I mean,
Doesn't matter what server you're on, it needs to be changed. Simple as that. Because there is a perception that clans using 100% win rate accounts are somehow cheating when they're not, because they're not breaking the rules. So they're not cheating because they're not breaking the rules. If they were breaking the rules, then they're cheating. But and this is where it becomes complex. And the FPS on the game today is really bad. It keeps dropping down to like 40. It's really bad. Ping must be quite high.
I think I had that yesterday. It was just me opening too many applications.
I haven't got many apps open.
I mean, maybe your stream. I mean, the streaming also could take a toll on the FPS as well.
No, it's never really. I haven't got many apps open, but I'll close a few down. But I haven't got many open. To be
Yeah.
fair. So I don't know why it's.
Yeah,
But
because
it's
if
the game
if
FPS. It's not the stream FPS. The stream FPS is fine. It's the game. The game is.
I know it's the game, but sometimes when the GPU is like loaded, which I think you're using your GPU to stream, then yes, then
No, I'm using
it will
Oh, my CPU is
affect
at
the game
8%.
if you use GPU to run the game as well.
Well, my CPU is at 9%. So.
No, not CPU. I'm talking about GPU. That's
My
GPU.
GPU is external. It's an external CPU, so it shouldn't be that. I have no idea. I've had this bit when there's a lot of people. When I'm on C1, I get it a lot more. So. Oh, bye, Spicy. Catch you later, mate. And that's the thing, Kill Switch. You know, you're saying there, NA only like 30 clans participated in Winter Tour. I mean, that makes a big difference. Yeah. That makes a huge difference when there's not that many clans playing. And you know, it makes a massive difference. And personally, I'd like to see more clans across all servers take part. You know, because that's when it becomes even more competitive. But we'll see.
Yep.
We will see. So, I mean, hopefully that's answered your. Hopefully that's kind of sort of answered your question, Rockin' Roller. Although I didn't let Jack finish, so Jack should finish his answer. So, carry on, Jack.
Of what answer I have to go for?
Did you finish your? You know, what was it? His initial question was. Is it, you know, where is he? Where's the very first thing he asked for? Oh, going back up now. I think it. Yeah, let's talk about the most stupid matchmaking seed in the seasonal tour. Is what he said.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're just discussing.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning like the effects of the win rate seeding. It's different to different servers because of several different parameters. And the main point I was the main parameter I was going with is the proportion of competitive teams over all the teams participating in the previous skill tournaments. This is kind of this is different to different clans. So the different servers, I mean, some servers have a higher proportion, some servers have a lower proportion, and for servers with lower proportion of those clans playing it really seriously, then the effects of win rate, actually not really, because you have to take like somewhere in between, like
Yeah.
you cannot have like a very high proportion of of teams playing very seriously. Otherwise, if you do 100% win rate account boosting, then you're still going to meet really good clans in the beginning. But then if you have a really low percentage of teams playing the tournaments really seriously, then the problem is, even if you boost your win rate to a very high, to really high, chances are you still probably will get the easier opponents at the start. Like, there is probably no change. So EU actually somewhat falls somewhere in between. So that's why I think, in my opinion, there is a huge effect of the win rate seeding for the EU server. And for some others, I believe it's not as serious as I think. And I would say something like that.
But I mean, like I said, we know what the issue is, and like I keep saying,
I'm not here to like.
No, I know
say
you're
that,
not. No, I know you're
this-
not. But don't forget, we've got people on the stream as well asking the same question, and we know what the issue is. In Wargaming, we've got to close it. They've just got to shut it down. It's as simple as that.
I mean, they have to shut this. They have to change the seating. I mean,
Yeah, they do.
As you said,
they've got to come up
you
with a
cannot
system.
like ban players from putting 100% win accounts in their team, because as you said, not everyone likes to play random matches. And then I think Wargaming does not like the idea that they want to restrict people from playing tournaments. So this is why they won't go
I
for.
personally,
uh,
and as a
yeah.
CC, I argue all the time. I don't want
Mhm.
PYS tournaments to be restricted, and the reason
Yeah.
for that is because I want Wargaming to throw more at it. I want the tournament scene to be a bigger priority for Wargaming. And the catch-22 that we have is that Wargaming say it's not a priority because only 1% of the player base plays it, which is true. So if we can increase the 1% of the player base, then they'll give it more of a priority. So, and this is where it becomes an issue. And, how do you increase it at the same time? How do you make it fair? Because, look, we play a game that I would say, roughly, and this is just my own interpretation, I would say 65% of the player base are absolutely infatuated with stats. And I mean that, and they're infatuated with it. Hence the reason why there are so many rerolls. There are so many rerolls because people who they can't now get to that glorious light blue win rate of 60% on their main account, so they reroll because it's then easier to get to that 60% win rate on a reroll account because you're bringing in knowledge that you didn't have when you initially started the game yourself. Now, for example, I mean, I'm a 53.5% player at the moment. That suits me down to the ground. And then I look at my Asia account and I look at my NA account, both of which, strictly speaking, are rerolls, because they are, because, even though I've started them afresh, I am taking knowledge and experience that I've gained from EU onto those two servers. And I'm effectively, well, I don't, but effectively what I've got for the first 100 battles is I've got bots. Well, the bots aren't clever, and the bots aren't brilliant, and they're really easy to destroy. But if you're a new player, you don't know that the bots aren't clever. You don't know they're bots half the time, because you're a new player. What the hell do you know? But if you're an experienced player, you know exactly that they're bots. And you know what to do. So, of course, you're going to get an inflated win rate, because you're a reroll, and you're bringing things in that you're bringing in from all the experience you've got. And so we do have a lot of people infatuated with stats. And this doesn't help, because then you're going to have people say, I've got a 100% win rate. You're going to have people say, look, I can't get to 60-odd%, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to re-roll instead. And then all of a sudden, I'm a 65% win rate player because I've re-rolled. It's a false economy, to be fair. I would never, on my NA and Asia accounts, I'm close to 70%. I'm not a 70% win rate player. I'm a 53.5% win rate player, and that's what I play on EU. And I'm slowly getting better. But that is my true skill level, because that's the account I played since day one. From the very off. Mm-hmm. You cannot look at my NA or Asia accounts as a reflection of my ability. Just like you cannot look at any reroll account as a reflection of someone's ability. Because it's not true. Mm-hmm. It's a false economy. And therein lies the problem. So if we could move away from stat paddling, if we could move away from everybody being, this 65% of the player base being absolutely infatuated with just stats, then we would probably get less rerolls, we'd probably get less this and less that. I don't know. So Meadsy says, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Fugit. Man, just kick me while I'm there, man. Just kick me further down. Kick. And there, and that's the thing, because there are a lot of rerolls nowadays. It's just the way it goes. And I don't know how you combat that. Because who are we to say to somebody, you can't do that? If somebody wants to spend their money on the game and have 3 accounts, that's up to them. It's up to them. It's a game after all. And it's not a nanny society where we get to dictate what you can and cannot do. If somebody wants to be crazy enough to have 4 accounts on EU because they keep re-rolling, that's up to them. That's completely up to them. And that doesn't bother me in the slightest. But as I said, I mean, one of the things I'd like to see is more people playing in the tournaments. So there's got to be a way that we can allow these type of things to happen without necessarily shooting people down. I don't know, and the only way they're going to do that is move to some form of non-win rate based which will be strange, to be fair. I don't know how they're going to do it.
But we'll wait and see. But it has to be different than what we're seeing right now.
Absolutely, but time will tell. Time will tell. I mean, at the end of the day, I've been looking closely, apart from CIS, I've been looking closely at Asia and NA and EU. And I know not everyone's going to agree, but I think we've got relatively speaking, the top 8s that probably should be the top 8s. I don't know, or near as damn it.
I agree with Asia. I think NA probably as well, but I do think Asia's top 8 is the top 8. I think it's fair, and I think I do agree with it a lot.
Well, I think all the clans have worked hard at the end of the day.
Yeah, all the clans, yeah.
Across all the servers. And, I can't turn around and say that EU's top 8 is not the correct top 8. I mean, there could have been different scenarios, of course. See, bloody game, it's killing me. It keeps going from 60% FPS down to 30% FPS. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I can't turn around and say that because, like I said, there's so many parameters to take into account. Had BPS not lost their second game to Serenity on that replay, then Serenity wouldn't be top 8, BPS probably would be. Had Souls beat Akva on the final day, then IMMOR wouldn't be the top 8. Souls would be. So, I mean, there's so many parameters that can be thrown in. So, I think at the end of the day, we've got... I mean, okay, there are teams in there that we think, oh, I really wish they would have been in the top 8. But they're not. So, it's something for the teams. I've said this time and time again on the tour circuit. One of the things I want to see is teams stay together and not just collapse after a particular season. And and to just stay together and work towards trying to beat these other teams. And I think it can be done. I think if BPS now go away and consolidate, because they've got a great team, they've got some fantastic players, then I think they're going to be somebody to look out for during spring season. No doubt. And I think this is one of the good things that we're seeing. And it is a good thing that we're seeing, I'm going to keep an eye on the Challengers Tour, because I think there's some teams in there that are, that are up and coming as well. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could say it's not the right top 8. I think it's a top 8 that's a bit surprising, and not expected. But I think it's a reflection, to be fair. Just about.
I do think that if there, I mean, guys, I do the power rating. I only think that the top 8 is not the right top 8 if there is like a clan, particularly having a very low rating and then still in the top 8. I think it's not. Then I think it's not a well-deserved top 8. But I don't see it in EU server. Don't see it in the Asia server. NA server just going to be a little bit tough on this though. But I'm not going to say anything much.
NA's strange though, because I mean a lot of the clans on NA are amalgamations of other clans, with the exception of Rain. I mean Rain wasn't even in the winter, were they? Were they playing?
No, they weren't even playing at all.
There you go. So Rain are not playing, and then you've got Pramo and Void is basically Pramo. And you've got Pincer, and Pincer is basically some of those as well. And then you've got GG, which is an amalgamation of Rain and GMA and Ishita. So NA's always been a strange tournament circuit because it's amalgamation of clans. It's not like EU in that respect. And it's always been like that on NA. It's always been like that, where there's been these amalgamations, and they do it because obviously the player base. I mean, they're very competitive on NA, and the player base is very small comparatively.
Yep.
So and a lot of people say that the tour scene on NA is pretty bad, but I'm going to check which server I'm on here because I think I must be on C1.
I don't think it's bad. It's just that hasn't really picked up the pace.
I'm going to close.
For 3 months.
I'm going to close the game and reopen it because I'm not liking the FPS. The FPS is really bad.
You guys are avoiding very tough problems which we have. And those problems are not only 100% accounts for which you blame actually the system, but not the players who are abusing this. And you also avoid the match fixing problem, because it has a lot of places during those tournaments. And I don't know why do you avoid them.
Avoiding what? What am I avoiding?
Match fixing.
I've got no evidence of match fixing. I've got no evidence, to be fair. None. I've got suspicion, but no evidence. And suspicion is not enough, unfortunately.
Fugit, if you're an experienced tour player, you can say 100% sure where was the match fixing and where was not. And we can agree here, both of you can agree here with me that if you are an experienced tour player, you can say that here was a match fixing. And no doubt how it was done.
Well, but that's
maybe
just but that's just purely speculation here, though.
That's the problem.
I think that's what Fugit's point is. Just we don't have like substantial evidence to prove it. But then I mean we don't deny that that might have taken place at some certain point, but we cannot like point out certain fingers with no evidence. Though. That is something that I almost made a mistake.
That's what I've meant, Jack. That you are not critical enough to point here and say, okay, I don't have evidence, but hey guys, look at this. This could not have happened
because
at all.
because the rules apply equally, mate, and we can't be overly critical because then we are also breaking the rules. If you check the rules, you can't just call clans out or players out because it's a breach of the rules. Funnily enough, I mean, I'll just give you the example. A quick example.
Do you mean you are breaking the rules by saying that this particular clan did a match fix?
Without evidence? Without evidence, yeah. Without evidence,
What evidence do you need to say that EG probably match fixed against BPS because BPS are not that good as you say, but okay, they won raid. They won EG, they won double time Veil. Well, and they are losing to IMMOR 2-0, very confidently losing, because they like played very bad. And that's how they usually play.
So game rules for World of Tanks Blitz. Okay. Rule number 118.9. It is a violation pointing to actions prohibited by the EULA, the game rules, or other wargaming rules or legislation. You can't do that. And this is the problem. So, we have to be very careful in condemning because, you can fall foul of the rules yourself. It clearly states that. It's down as unsporting behaviour, believe it or not. And as I said, those pointing to actions prohibited by, and this falls after using directly or indirectly the following nicknames or other games, blah blah blah. Those in violation of clause 1.7, those that sow, those that do this, those that do that. So you've got to be careful on what you're doing, to be honest with you. And what I always advise is this with the tournaments. If let's take for example Team A and Team B, and Team A believes that Team B could have been rigging, then it's up to Team A to raise a ticket. It's up to the captain or the clan leader of Team A to raise a ticket to Wargaming and say, I believe there was rigging, here's the replay, blah, blah, blah. And Wargaming will then investigate it. That's what they have to
nothing.
do.
They will say nothing. They'll say nothing. They'll say the same as you have a player like I had now in Raging Battles who just goes down and sinks in the water and says, I'm not going to play with the noobs. And you know what Wargaming will answer? You just do not understand him. He plays it his way. You cannot understand all of the players. Seriously.
Well, that's the thing, though, because you know it says, and this is one thing I've raised with Wargaming. They need to change the rules. Okay, and I've said this.
The point is not the rules. The point is that Wargaming does nothing with this because this brings them money.
Well, that's not necessarily true because account sharing they do ban, and they've done that. They've banned players for account sharing for the tournaments. They've taken prize money away from people.
Fugit, let's see till the end of the tournament and see which accounts will be banned for the account sharing. And believe me, at least 5 or maybe even 15% of the accounts which were shared will not be banned.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know is the honest answer because I don't know. I have personally don't know. Because I have no evidence of which accounts are being shared or not, or whatever.
It requires investigation, which only Wargaming can do.
Correct.
And Wargaming and sometimes Wargaming just do not make a deep, investigation, and they just leave it like it is.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, for the autumn season, they did okay in autumn season. They went too far in autumn season, and they banned the likes of who did they ban?
Thomas.
They banned Thomas, and they also banned Elons from IMMOR.
Yeah.
Poor old Elons.
But
I don't think Elon's broken a rule in his life. He was accused of account sharing.
Not for the account sharing.
No,
not for the account sharing.
No,
Elons.
No, Elon's was account sharing. He said.
Elons was. I mean, Thomas. Thomas was banned because he was playing for free devices, and he was using VPN.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't know, and we've asked Wargaming that question. What about if a player uses VPN? And they've said they won't tell us how they check, but they tell us that they have ways and means of
They will not tell
working. No, they'll never
because
tell us.
If Wargaming will tell, Wargaming need these things to be done, and they just simply do not do them. And they say, "Oh, we will not tell you because we're not doing this."
Well, no, they don't tell us because if they told us their mechanisms for checking, then we would find ways and means around how they use their mechanisms. That's why they don't tell us.
Only.
Well, okay, that's not exactly true though, because there's a couple of games out now that already check for that and are blatant about it. Warzone recently has been banning people for, if they're cheating, they'll be doing IP bans, which will then allow them to make the games to where if you're using a VPN, the game itself won't function. So at that point, they're using it as a way to not get around being banned. So if you can't use a VPN there, I think there's probably some form of the same technology being used here.
Well, Wargaming allow VPN. That's the thing. They allow it. We specifically raised that in autumn season as CCs. We said, what if people are using VPNs? And all I can tell you is what I get back officially from Wargaming. And what I got back officially from Wargaming is we have mechanisms in place that can identify VPN. We won't tell you how we do the investigations or what parameters we use, because if we were to disclose that, then people would find ways and means around it. All we can say is VPNs are discounted and are picked up in during our investigation? I don't know is the honest answer. Like I said, I don't know because Wargaming won't tell us. And Wargaming's official reason is the one I've given you. All I can say is that we as CCs, we have raised VPN. You know, because I've used VPN and lots of people use VPN, and apparently it's not affected. So I'm told. I don't know. You know, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't work for Wargaming, so I can only tell you what they tell me. Is the honest answer. That's all I can tell you.
And I'm telling you, being a little bit professional in this thing, because I was, okay, not me exactly, but my father, he was involved in some points with Wargaming, and I can tell you that they simply do not do this. They simply do not do the deep investigation in some terms because it is a waste of time for them. They don't care.
Possibly.
They simply don't care.
Possibly. I can't say either
And-
way, unfortunately. I mean, you're in a better position than me because you've got somebody who said this happens. Until I've got, you know, and I'm not saying I want evidence beyond reasonable doubt. You know, I'm a lawyer. I just want evidence that's on the balance of probability, and that's 51% says X, 49% says Y. And then I can then look at it from that perspective and throw all the other things in there into the pot. And the reason I say that is because, for example, I've seen loads of allegations against particular clans for using emulators. I've got no evidence that they're using emulators. None at all. No one's given me or shown me, apart from a screenshot saying, oh, here's an emulator. No, the screenshot doesn't show it's an emulator. You need to find out how we can prove that that person is using an emulator. And say, well, it's easy, look, because they're in a touch tournament and their tank has got a mouse next to it, so it must be an emulator. No, because you can get laptops now that are touch, and that's what that they pick up. And Wargaming's system allows for the use of those laptops. So I don't know is the honest answer, and I need I need this evidence is what I'm saying.
Wargaming can prove if there's any emulators or not, but they're not going to do this.
Well,
They are
again-
simply not going to do this.
But again, I don't know is the honest answer. I just don't know. I cannot say for certainty if they don't or if they will or if they won't. All I can say is, like I said, what they report back when we press them on certain things. Now, if they're misleading us, then I've got no evidence to say they're misleading. All I can do is say, look, we've asked this question. This is the answer we got back. It's up to you to believe that or not believe that. And, you know, don't get me wrong, mate. I am completely for everybody raising their views. I'm not trying to shut you down or shut you out or anything, because I'd never do that. And everybody, and I've said this to Jack in a stream recently, everybody should be free to raise their concerns and their thoughts, as long as it doesn't border on bullying or abusing other people unwantedly. Then, you know, everybody is right to raise their own thoughts and views without fear of being shut down or closed off. So whilst I'm arguing with you, all I'm saying is I don't know. And had I had more information, then maybe I'd be in a better position to say, yes, I agree with you. But I can't until I have more information. Now, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. And APA versus APA in PYS number 3. I streamed that game. I was the streamer. And you can go back and you can watch my stream. And you will hear the disappointment both in my comments and in my voice in streaming that. And I did raise a query with Wargaming about that particular game. And they did look into it. And they came back and said the following: we don't believe there's been a breach. Because firstly, there's no passive play. And the rule is, one of the rules is passive play. And they're not passive because they YOLO in 7 bat chats. So they're not breaching that rule. And they said, and the second rule is there is absolutely zero evidence that the game was rigged. There is suspicion. There is a strong suspicion. But if we were to look into it further, they will just, the players, quite rightly, can just turn around and say, well, we thought 7 bat chats would work, and it didn't. But our bad, shit strat. How do you argue
That's
that?
what I'm telling you.
But how do you argue
That's
that?
what I'm telling you.
But how do you argue that? And what I was trying to explain the other day to somebody is if we get down the road whereby we can then start arguing strats, then it's a can of worms that's being opened because we can, lots of teams. The example I gave was, I think it was Mercy against C4 in the Blitz Cup. Well, I think it was C4. Yeah, it was C4. Where they took 5 AMX-50s and 2 Progettos on Middleburg and then went to the town. And we all sat there going, my God. No, they absolutely won that game against Mercy, but they could have lost it. And somebody could have turned around and said, they threw it. They didn't throw it, but, it could have backfired. And it gets difficult when you start looking at strats and saying, did they throw it, yes or no? And the hard thing...
Experienced player can say this was a through.
Well,
But Wargaming will never do an actions for that because they'll simply say, well, you don't understand and maybe they're using their tactics.
But that's true. That's true.
It's stupid.
It's like everything though, mate. I mean, on the one side, there's subjectivity, and on the other side, there's objectivity. And you're right. I mean, which seasoned professional player do you take? Because they may not all agree on the view. I don't know. And so the only way you can do it, you can't be subjective. You have to be objective. And objectively, you would turn around and say, well, it doesn't look good, but they will just say it was their strat.
We'll do nothing with this and let's it continue. Yep.
Yeah, but
that's how it works.
But well, yes
when
and no.
You are objective.
Yes and no.
When you're objective to match, you do not put any criticism in this, and this continues and continues and continues until someone will just come, slam his foot on the desk and say this will not happen once again, and we'll ban for this.
But
everything will end.
Yeah, but there are ways and means that it does push over into more, where it can be more objective. And for example, I've seen games where players have been penalised, like the notorious E50M game that was played by somebody from Loca with somebody from APA. And that particular player got the book thrown at them because it was clear that they were breaking the rules. They were purposely blocking one of their teammates so their platoon mate could get the damage. Simple fact. This is clear. That doesn't need a subjective viewpoint. That is objective. It was clear as day. You can't go around blocking players so your on your own team so your teammate can get the damage. There was then another game.
There's 100 of players which are doing the same.
Yeah,
but a little bit more gently,
Absolutely, and if those players are reported, and some of them are, then objectively you can see that they're breaking the rules, and then the book should be thrown at them. Rigging matches is always difficult because let's look at it from a logical viewpoint. To rig a match, Team A has to say to Team B, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And Team B say, oh, okay, do that then. Which means you need somebody to whistle blow either from Team A or Team B to substantiate the rigging. It's very difficult.
You don't need to. You don't need to.
How do you do it then?
You simply don't need to. And I'm 100% sure. And I will remind you of one particular match fixing which happened to me. If you remember S- and Eros, you remember this?
No, I don't remember it, so you have to refresh my memory, I'm afraid.
When S were banned and disqualified from the top 8 because they were account sharing.
Account sharing is a breach, though.
It is a breach, but there was also a match fix when Eros just simply lost 3-0 to S-, so that S minus can take more points than First Alliance, and they can go to the top 4 instead of the First Alliance.
But was it clear that they were purposely throwing the
It
game?
was clear for everyone who was playing the tournaments for for more than 1 year. It was absolutely clear because nobody will play like that, nobody will do this, and nobody will do that. And there was clearly showing the match fix. Did Wargaming punish everyone for this? No, they didn't. They punished for the account sharing, which is also taking place, but they didn't punish them for the match fixing.
Well, it was probably
And
easier.
it was clear. It was even streamed. It was streamed by Rolling.
Yeah, but it's like everything. I mean, this is what I'm trying to say. I mean, for example, I mean, and I hate pushing into politics, but for example, if I 50%, I would say, maybe more, of people think that the recent shenanigans in America, Donald Trump was guilty. 50% will think the recent shenanigans in America, he's not guilty. These are subjective views, and only time will tell.
Okay, hold up. On that, I want to ask, guilty of what exactly? Because
Well,
there's multiple things people are arguing about.
Absolutely, and this is what I'm saying.
Some of which are more subjective than others.
Absolutely, exactly.
Like, because there are people, because there are things that are like, okay, was Trump responsible for the riots and the storming of the Capitol? People will say yes, people will say no.
Absolutely.
Did he cheat? Was he cheated out of the election? Maybe, maybe not. And
this is the can of worms.
It just kind of becomes.
It's a can of worms, and all you can do is say, well, what evidence do we have that we can prove it 100%? We can prove it, not 100%, but we can prove it.
There is actually the evidence. Sorry for disturbing you.
And it becomes difficult.
Yeah, there's evidence. There is evidence in terms of the storming of the Capitol, in which he did, in fact, kind of cause that.
Yeah, but then there's other evidence that I've seen.
The election is a whole nother. The election is a whole nother can of worms because there's no way to really.
Yeah, but you say that, but
document that.
I don't want to get into it because everybody will have a different view on it.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm stopping here. That's why I'm stopping here.
But all I will say is, it's one of these things, and a lot of people turn around and say, well, it was evidence was presented recently in the Senate, and he's been vindicated because he's been acquitted. So 50% of people still will believe that that's not right, and that it's plain as the nose on the end of your face that he's guilty, and 50% will say, well, we always knew he wasn't guilty. And that's the same with match fixing.
Not okay. It is quite same, but there is a point in your lovely rules which says that match fixing is prohibited, but in the other scene. It said, if I remember correctly, that any manipulation to achieve the certain point in the games or the scores is prohibited. I cannot say how it exactly says, but it's something like that. And match fixing is manipulating to the scores.
Well, what it says is, these are the rules, and this is where it becomes really difficult. And it says, rigging battles or similar actions of any kind to achieve high stats or in-game awards. So it's the rigging the battles that is the difficult part. You've got to prove that there is there's rigging. Match fixing is rigging battles. So you've got to show that there's some form of collusion between the two clans, and that's difficult to prove. That is difficult.
Everything comes to the subjectivity in here, because I can prove, for example, that EG just didn't play seriously, they didn't do anything to win. Honestly, they didn't do anything to win, which can be simply the same as match rigging and inactivity, because they did one thing which they have not did against BPS. They did one more which they didn't do as well. And this came to the point where they were just playing inactively without any will to win or something like that, and that's why they lost. I cannot prove it 100% because nobody can.
Well, this is the thing. So when you look at the rules, and this is where the rules need to be clarified more. So there are basically 3 rules, okay, that deal with match fixing and rigging in real terms. And the first one is rigging battles or similar actions of any kind except in training rooms to achieve high stats or in-game rewards. Now that requires some form of collusion between the players to rig that battle. They then go further, a couple of rules down. Blocking or performing similar actions in relation to the vehicles of a player in the user's team. So if you block players in your team purposely, then that could be seen that you're manipulating the battle because it's unsporting conduct. It then goes down. Passive behaviour towards members of another team, clan or clan alliance. Now passive behaviour means going AFK purposely, not shooting them, basically YOLOing into them with the gun up. No, not YOLOing, but moving into them with the gun up, in having absolutely no intention whatsoever to fight them in any way, shape or form. And then the very last one is, and this is the catch-all, any other forms of unsporting behaviour at the discretion of admin being Wargaming. So the rules are very, very narrow. They're not wide. And this is the problem. And even I have suggested to Wargaming that they should insert a rule in there because that is too narrow of a rule. Because it's almost impossible, unless you've got a whistleblower, to prove rigging. It's almost impossible. It's not easy.
Well,
the only way it's
Would it-
easy is when the other team is so passive that they're not fighting. And then you can easily prove it. But if they take 7 back chats in YOLO, then they're not passive. They're aggressive. And it then becomes almost impossible to do anything. And this is what I'm saying to Wargaming. I'm saying, guys, you've got to change the rules. You've got to bring in a rule that you know, that can change this and catch this somehow.
But Fugit, I think you just mentioned the rule there. That is the unsporting conduct. Teams can be punished for unsporting conduct at the discretion of Wargaming. So basically, that means if Wargaming thinks it's unsporting, they can put the ban hammer there. But we
Basically.
are not seeing that though.
But it's because
the other issue
that's because
is
they're
that
probably
it
looking
also-
at it saying, well, there's not enough evidence on their side either way. And that's the problem.
Yeah, but that rule there, I think it's the kind of thing that so if they think subjectively think that the match conducted is unsporting in their opinion, they can use that rule to do punishments. Actually, I think they can, but they haven't done that. So
There's also another side to that rule where it says since it's to the discretion of Wargaming, they can at that point basically say, well, this particular clan didn't do anything because there's not enough evidence, so we're just not going to try them, or we're not.
Which is what they do. Which is what they do. They say, you know, we've reviewed it and we don't think that there's enough evidence here, or we don't think that particular game style was either passive, or there's enough to show X,
Now,
Y, Z.
okay, in the example of the 7 bat chats, would that have been round 1 of whatever
No, it was the second game.
match that was?
No,
It was the second game. So okay, if that was the first game, I could say, okay, yeah, maybe they're trying to test the waters, you know, see what's going on.
It happened both games. Not the 7 bad chats, but first we have 7 T22s and the 7 bad chats, which they play it in a really similar way, which is to actually ram into YOLO, and some of them even ram into the mouses, and yeah, it was.
Okay, ram. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you said ramming with gun up. So yeah, ramming mouses in a bat chat, because that's a good idea.
Yeah, but that was the
So-
that was towards the end of the battle. I mean, at the beginning of the battle, they took 7 back chats. So this is where it gets difficult, okay?
No, this is what I'm saying. Like, if you look at it, right? If this was round 1, I could say that it was okay. They're testing the waters to see how the fight's gonna go. They're throwing round 1 as kind of recon for what the other team is gonna do. But if they're doing it round 2 after they have some idea, there has to be something else at play there.
Okay, so
Like-
but like I said though, rigging implies collusion. Okay, because the other team needs to know that you're going to throw the game somehow if you're not going to play passive. So there has to be some form of collusion. Team A,
Maybe not.
Well, Team A in this instance, okay. Team A took traditional meta and played a traditional strat. Team B took 7 backchats, okay. Now they didn't ram into the mouses at the beginning. That was towards the end of the game. And if you watch my stream, they YOLO into, and it wasn't 7 mouses. There were 2 mouses, 1 mouse on the other team, or 2 mouses. I can't remember now. But they YOLO into the enemy team, okay, and tried to circle them, and they just got annihilated. And towards the end of the game, it was, you know, there were plenty of tanks still left on the enemy side, and only 2 backchats, I believe, left. So they tried to push a mouse into the water by ramming it in there. I mean, that was never going to work. But who's to say that it was never going to work, realistically, if there's 2 of them? And this is the point. It's such a subjective view. And my concern, as you know, if this is just my concern, when we start getting to the rounds whereby, because we don't agree with that strat, or we think that strat is bad, or whatever, it looks suspect, all of a sudden we're calling out players for rigging. That's not right. You can't do that. I mean, don't forget, the rules don't apply just to tournaments. They apply to the entire game. We will have people ripping into people left, right and centre. I mean, how many times do you see people YOLO in a Dracula or whatever? People will be saying, well, this person's throwing the game, it's rigging. It's a can of worms, an absolute can of worms. And all I'm saying is, you know, until either A, the rules are updated to capture certain things, or B, we have got tangible evidence, not subjective evidence, but tangible evidence to show that, you know, there's been some intention to rig, then I don't think we can sit here and say that game was thrown or that game was rigged. We can suspect it. We can have our suspicions. Of course we can. There's no one saying we can't. We can sit here and we can say, you know, oh, I've watched that game and I'm very suspicious about the activity and it looks like that maybe Team B threw it. We can say that. There's no issue about that. But when we then, if it's then raised to Wargaming and Wargaming then come back and say, in our opinion, they didn't, we can't then sit there and say, well, I don't agree with Wargaming. It's because we're getting into the realms of everything, you know, we're questioning everything if it doesn't go the way we think it should go. And if that's the case, then we've got a problem. We've got a problem. You know, it's like...
You know, I can bring 20 people, experienced, good players, and they'll confirm that I'm allowed to think that this is reached.
No, you can do
it's
that.
not.
You can do that, and I can bring 20 people who say no, I don't think it was. So this is, and it's like you have to appreciate everyone. I'm a lawyer. I mean, I've had experts who have said yes, what this person did is wrong, and I've got another expert saying your expert is not an expert. It's the way life works, and it's what we can prove. It is only what we can prove, and you know, it's like there's sometimes there are judgments that go against you in a real court of law, and I think, well, how the bloody hell did they come up with that? I mean, it's clear the guy's guilty, but for some reason the jury say he isn't, or the judge says he isn't. Yet most of us know he's guilty. Or how did he get away with that? And, you know, we have to trust the system to an extent. Now, I'm not saying it's a perfect system. I don't believe it's a perfect system, nowhere near. And, you know, I've even gone as far as writing a clause that they can stick in the rules so it will give us a bit more certainty. Because I don't think there's enough certainty in there at the moment. And therein lies the problem. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, I don't have my suspicions. I do have my suspicions. But, of course I do. But I can't say for certainty if it was or wasn't. And it's like the other day. I think it was. I can't remember which game it was. I was streaming it on Asia, and it was clear that Feast, they were comfortable. They were okay. They were in the top 8. They had nothing to really lose. So they went out on one of the matches with meta that we wouldn't agree with. That's also that's no different to what APA did. And this is where do you draw the line? Because if one is guilty, then the other is guilty. You can't pick and choose who's guilty. If APA is guilty of rigging because they took shit meta and they had fun, then by default, Feast are equally as guilty, even though they had nothing to gain or anything. They're just equally as guilty. The actions are still the same actions. The consequence is still the same consequence. And this is where it becomes dangerous, if you know what I mean.
Fugit,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember actually who was streaming as, you or Jack. But when APA came as 5 just to play against us, I can call it.
That wasn't me. But Endgame,
I
you could argue.
I was streaming that. I was streaming that, but yeah.
Okay,
You can't say it's a
so
pro,
oh,
but
hang on then. Hang on.
I mean,
Before you go on to that, counter this at the same time. So APA, you could count it as a throw. Also consider with when you're coming to do your answer here, Endgame turning up with only 6 against one of the teams. Now,
Okay, so-
answer.
The reasons. I know the reasons.
Yeah, but that's you. Do Wargaming. I mean, like I said, if the rule applies, guys, it's got to apply across the board, regardless of what the reasons are. It's not a law for one and a law for another. It's a law for everybody. It applies equally across the board. And this is where it becomes a bit more, you've got to look past certain things. And as I said, if we sit here and say APA are guilty of throwing when they played APA because they took shitty meta and shitty strats, etc., then Feast are equally as guilty when they played the other day against GSM. Equally as guilty.
Of course. And when Wargaming banned the players for that at least once, nobody ever will do the same. Nobody, believe me. Wargaming just need to do this once.
Yeah, and it's like you're saying there. APA only took five players against us, so it was match fixed or whatever. Well, okay,
It was match
okay, fine. We're saying it's match fixing because they didn't take 7 players. Endgame took 6 players and they lost. Is that a match fix? Because if you apply the rule to the one, you have to apply it to the other one, and there's no variance.
Yes.
And
Yes, it was, and I
is
know
where it
the
becomes
reason
difficult.
why there was only 6, but you also can understand that Endgame, such a disciplined team,
Absolutely.
wants to be at the top 1 this season, comes as 6, having 8 players in the team or 9. I don't remember who was registered.
Yeah, okay, but then
Seriously?
you look at the investigation. You do the investigation. Say, why did you only take 6 players, guys? Say, because these 2 had Wi-Fi problems. But you can't counter it. It's just the way. It's a valid defence. It's a mobile game. Now, if they were at the offlines, then obviously we know they're talking crap because everybody's sat in a room and they're using all the same bloody Wi-Fi.
This is a mobile time. There is a mobile game where players do everything to gain the pro avatar. What are you talking about? It's not a game anymore.
But it's an e-sport. In e-sports, unfortunately, like all sports, there is going to be dirty tricks. There will be dirty tricks employed.
Let me tell you one thing. You all know Valve. Yeah, you know all Dota 2.
Say again,
You
sorry.
all do. You all know Valve, correct?
Who? I don't.
Valve.
Possibly. Go on.
Dota
Go
2.
on.
Dota 2.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
There is a game, Dota 2. There is also in esports a huge esport. And there was a thing when one team just lost to another. Simple as that. When the guys came to the organization to the Wolf
Mm-hmm.
and said to them that, listen, guys, this was a match fix. The team was banned for losing. And you know why? They were not playing passively, they were not doing anything, but they were banned. Because there was an intention that this team cannot lose. They just
But
cannot
this is where
lose.
this is all right. I'm glad you mentioned that. This is where the rules for the game of Blitz are at wrong or at error, because and this is what I put forward to Wargaming recently. There is no rule that catches such a thing, and this is the problem. This is the problem because actions that are intentional to give an advantage to the other team, okay, in a competitive scenario, such as, you know, YOLOing when you clearly you didn't, you know, you don't do such a thing. Pros don't do such things, etc., etc. You know, there are certain actions that would appear on the face of it to be, well, why? You know, that's completely out of the way. Problem with Wargaming's rules are it's called passive. Passive is the catch, and passive gameplay is not the same as throwing the game. And this is why the rules need to change. They do need to change. We need to start looking at, and they need to bring a rule in where there is an intention to play in such a manner and in such a way as to give an advantage to the other side should be against the rules. And that is what I've been arguing with Wargaming. They've got to bring something like that in. And then you will catch the things that you're talking about. Then it's a different argument.
But they will not do this. At least I believe they will not do this.
Well,
Until they'll be forced to do this.
well, you know, I don't know is the honest answer. I just don't know. All I know is that, you know, every year, and I've argued this before, almost every year, in almost every professional sport, the rules are changed. So, for example, take F1 as a prime example. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. This year, you know, last year they would have changed the size of the tyres or the make of the tyres or whatever. And then teams would have said, oh, okay, so we need to look at ways to get more grip and more speed out of the tyres. But within the rules. So they'll find ways to bend the rule to give them more grip and more this. So they will do that. Then the administrators, the FIA, will turn around and say, well, hang on a minute. We need to change the bloody rule again because now they've found a workaround. So we need to change the rule again. We have to narrow the vehicle or do this or do that. We don't do that in Wargaming. The rules have been the rules since day one, to be fair. And they are in dire need of being updated. Absolutely dire need. Because they are so out of date. This game is not the game it was 6 years ago. And the tour scene is not the same as it was a year ago. You know, and they've got to change it. And one of my arguments to Wargaming is the tour scene is one of your biggest feathers. Because not only is it marketing and free marketing it that, because you're enticing people to come and play the game, you're enticing people to download it, to do this, to do that. Therefore, you need to start taking the esports side of things a lot more seriously. And, you know, as you get more professional, because we are getting more professional players, you know, the professionals now, you guys are earning money from it. And if you earn money from the game, you become a professional. Simple fact of life. You're no longer amateurs. All a professional is somebody who earns money from doing it, which is what you guys are doing. Okay? So the more we get professionals, and we've got more professionals now than we did a few years ago, more people want to get that avatar, more people want to get that prize fund. The rules have to be updated. They have to be. We have to try, Wargaming has to try and start catching out what we perceive to be unfair conduct. which isn't a breach of the rules. And that's where we've got to get to. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Inman. I'm not disagreeing with you saying, oh, you know, you're completely wrong and what you're talking about is all a load of crap. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I agree. We've got issues. And those issues must be addressed. They must. But the ultimate responsibility at this present moment in time lies with Wargaming, and they've got to sort it out. They've got to. And until
They will not.
and as I've said,
they
and
will
as I've
not.
said to everybody, if you show me a player or a clan that has broken the rules, then I will be the first to sit here and denounce them, and I will turn around and say they broke. And I've done that. I mean, I've commented on certain individuals playing in grills on Mayan ruins, or certain individuals playing in E50Ms on Faust, and denounced them and said it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful play. But because they broke the rules, and it's clear they're breaking the rules. But until I can be certain, when I say certain, I mean on the balance of probability, 51% of my judgment is they're breaking the rules, I can't denounce them. I can denounce Wargaming because it's their game and they've got to sort it. That's what I can denounce. And I will denounce that.
But why don't you denounce players who are abusing this?
Because I can't, because they're not breaking
Because
the
you
rules.
know these loopholes are there for like 4 years.
It doesn't matter. They're not breaking the rules. If they're not breaking the rules, I can't denounce them. I just can't do that because they're not breaking the rules. And
I will ask you
is
something
the problem.
privately, and you will tell me. Can you denounce them
oh,
for this
private,
or not?
privately,
I'll
I
ask
have,
privately.
privately, I have my own opinions. And you know, I have my own views, my own thoughts, and my own opinions. But publicly, I can't denounce them until they've broken the rules. And that's just the way I am. And I will keep my private views and opinions to myself. And I've had people ask me from certain clans recently, do you agree with this? Do you agree with that? Blah, 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 blah. And I've said to them, you know, my views are X, Y, and Z. But those are my
Why
personal
don't you
views.
do anything with this?
What do
Why
you mean?
don't you? You are the media person. You
What do I
can.
do? I go.
You're
No, I do. I go to Wargaming and I say we need to change the rules. We need to do this. You need to close this out. You need to shut this down, because they're the ones at fault. It's not the player at fault. It's not the
They
player.
are the ones. They are the
Wargaming.
ones that think for the players to abuse the system. Great.
Exactly. But see, the organizer organizes the event. If the organizer screws it up with their rules and regulations that allows the players to do things that we don't agree with, okay, then that's the organizer's fault, not the player. It's two different things.
Does organizers force them to use this?
No,
Well, they don't.
but
They
do
don't.
but,
So
but do.
this is the
Let me ask you.
behavior.
I tell you what. Let me ask you a different question, because it's like everything. You can spin everything. Do organisers condemn them and restrict them from doing this? Are they prevented from doing this? No.
No, they're not, because we're
There
giving
you go
them
then.
this.
And this is the thing. I mean, when you then turn around and say, but there's a rule that says you can't do it, then officially they're prevented. They are then prevented from doing it. And if they continue to do it, then action should be taken. But until there's a rule that then prevents them, then wargaming is not preventing them. Ergo, they're entitled to do it. That's just the way it works. It's like everything. You know, you've got to bring a rule, or you've got to bring a mechanism in that prevents the thing being done. And until that happens, then they're at liberty to do it. It's not breaking the rules. We may not agree
you
with
will
it.
not blame
We may
me.
think it's morally incorrect. We may think of all these things, but it's not.
So,
They're not breaking any rule.
so Fugit, you will not blame any player who is behaving bad because they are simply allowed to do bad.
No. I will not blame any player who is not breaking the rules. If you break the rules, I'll blame you. And I've done videos on blaming players. I had a guy in a Jaegeroo block me. He's breaking the rules. I will call him out. I've had players,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, if they're breaking the rules, I will call them out. But if they're just pissing me off because they're doing something that, I mean, for example, if I go into a game now and 3 of my team YOLO because they're completely clueless and die, I can't call them out for being idiots. I can't do that. That's just not on. How, you know, I can't prove that they're rigging it. I can't prove anything. All I can say is that they're idiots, that they're YOLOing. That's all I can do. And it would be wrong of me then to name and shame them because they're not breaking the rules. Now, if they block me or they say that I should get cancer and die, then that's a different thing. I can call them out. And I do call those people out. I've done videos on people using abusive language. I've done videos on people blocking. And I'll continue to do that. I've commented on videos where notable players have done naughty things that are against the rules. I've told you about the grill on Mayan Ruins, and I've told you about the E50M on Faust. Because they have broken the rules, and I will continue to do that. But just because somebody does something that I don't agree with, I won't denounce them. I can say I don't agree with it, but I won't denounce them. I can ask them to be better players. I can ask them to have better understanding of the game, but I can't denounce them. And with the scenario that we've got at the moment, I am all for sitting here saying we should have a better mechanism rather than 100% win rate accounts. We should have a better mechanism that prevents clans fielding more than one team. We should have a better mechanism saying who should fill these teams. We should have better mechanisms. But until those mechanisms come in, I can't say that a particular clan is rigging a battle or a particular clan is using an emulator and ergo cheating. And I can't say a particular clan is abusing the win rate system or the seeding system by cheating. I can't say that because they're not breaking the rules at the moment. And that's my problem. But I can question those points. Should clans be able to put more than one team in? Probably not. Should clans or should the game be seeded on win rate when people can use 100%? No. Should there be a better way to find out if people are using emulators or not? Yes. Should clans, when they do put 2 teams in and they meet each other, should they play within the spirit of the game? Yes. And should action be taken if they don't? Because this is the problem. Had Wargaming brought in a rule saying you can't put in more than one clan, APA would never have met APA. Had Wargaming brought in a rule saying you can only have one team in your clan in any given tournament, then the issue about Veil would go away as well. All these things go away if the organisers do something. Until the organisers do something, clans will always find a way to gain an advantage. Always. Always, always, always. That's just sport. It's no different to the footballer who, you know, he has a little tap and it looks like he's been shot by Vasily Zaitsev and he rolls around the floor for 10 minutes until the referee blows the whistle. And then he jumps up and he's fine and dandy. Nothing wrong with him. It's so different. It's gaining an advantage. Through dubious means, yes, I agree. But that's for the FA and FIFA and all the other football people to shut down. And it's no different here. Wargaming need to shut it down. They've got to stop it. Nobody else. And until they bring a rule in preventing it, then the clans will keep doing it. It's as simple as that. So they've got to bring something in to stop it.
I don't think so. The problem is not... You're sticking to the one side of the problem, but you, like, forgetting everything which is behind this.
Which is what?
Player base.
But
You're forgetting the player base.
But they're not breaking the rules, mate. Tell me what rule
So
they're
what?
breaking. Tell me what rule they're
So
breaking.
what?
So now we're going to condemn people for not breaking the rules. That's a novel way
Okay.
forward.
Okay. Listen, Fugit. I'll ask you one tricky question.
Okay.
I'll ask you one tricky question, and you will tell me what you think.
Okay.
Not like you, like the lawyer, but what you, as a person, think.
Okay.
There is a team A, and the team B. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And team A takes the account from nowhere, places in the team, takes a player from team B, and this player from team B plays for team A. Is this against the rules?
No. How is it against the rules? I don't understand. So you're saying that run it past me again. So Team B's player, because I've seen players get recruited all the time. So are you saying that the player in Team B left that particular team and went and joined Team A?
From the other account. Not from his account, from the other account.
And Team A and B are playing
Well,
each other.
what he's saying is player from Team B is using an account for Team A that's not his own, but he's playing for both sides.
How does he play for both sides? It's impossible.
It is possible.
Then he's account sharing, and that's breaking the rules.
Yep. Will you condemn people for that?
If I've got the evidence of it, yes.
I have the evidence for that.
If you've got the evidence, then he's account sharing and he should be condemned, because you can't have the same player playing for Team A and Team B. That's a clear breach of the rules.
Okay, and the second question. Should the results of Team A be equal to 0 in this particular situation?
I don't know how they approach that. I mean, strictly speaking, both teams should be penalised.
Okay, I agree with that, but sticking back to the rules, our great rules from the Wargaming, should the Team A results, which could have favored this team A, be equal to 0 in the case if someone can prove that the account in their team was used by the player from Team B?
Well, if you're doing that, then we're looking at collusion, and that is evidence of rigging a battle. So both teams are equally guilty. Both teams.
Okay.
Because it's rigging.
Uh,
If you've got a player
then,
playing on team, if Team A and Team B are playing against each other, okay, and a player on Team B is also playing on Team A at the same time that they're playing each other, that's rigging.
No. They are not playing against each other. They're just making the account sharing. It might be two teams from one clan. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that there's one Team B and one Team A.
Yeah,
Nothing more.
Well, hang on a minute though. I mean,
Well, okay, if they're both playing against each other, that would be obviously impossible because the person would have to be playing two accounts
exactly,
at the same time.
exactly, which is
not
impossible. I don't think that's
But
practical.
like, if these two teams are in the same tournament and they don't meet each other, would you be able to prove that there's account sharing? I don't think so.
No, that's my point. I don't think you can stretch it that far. Then.
I can prove. I have a proofs. That's the point. And Wargaming will prove it as well.
Well, if Wargaming will prove it, we know that with account sharing, they come down hard. So,
Or will you blame those people? Will you bring them to the official?
well, if I see the evidence, and I can show on the balance of probability, 51%, that there is account sharing, then I will say that's not right. You're breaking the rules, guys. It clearly states you can't account share. But again, I've got to know that they're account sharing. Without that evidence, I can't say. I cannot say.
I will bring you enough evidence for this. Will you bring them to the official, no matter who they are?
If there's evidence, then of course.
Yes? Alright. Remember these words.
No, I will. But remember, there's got to be evidence. Because I say
I
this.
will bring you evidence.
And I say this because a lot of people have complained about a lot of different things, okay? And I've seen a lot of things going around about particular clans and individuals. And certain things have been raised to me during the PYS that I've looked into, okay? Regarding things that you would think that I wouldn't look into. Okay? And I found no evidence that would bring me to the point where I would say that that particular person is account sharing, or that particular person is wrong, or this particular person is breaking the rules. And the chances are what you are alluding to me, I've already looked into. Okay.
Question: If you will ask Wargaming to track the IP of the account and it will be different, would you conclude it is evidence?
Only if I've got evidence for me to raise the suspicion in the first place to Wargaming. I've got to be able to sit there in my own mind and say, okay, this looks suspect. I think this is account sharing. Then yes, I will raise it. But if my mind is 50-50, then no, I won't raise it. That's my point. And the reason I won't raise it is because if somebody has a different view to me, everybody is free to raise a ticket to Wargaming. Everybody.
Wargaming will do nothing until the end of the tournament, and we all know that they will do nothing until the end of the tournament.
That's not strictly
And
true.
when the tournament ends, nobody cares.
No, they do. I mean, I was asked that question the other day. Wargaming do numerous things. I mean, if when things are raised to them, okay, a couple of things. When people raise a ticket during the tour, Wargaming don't park it until the end of the tour. They start looking into it there and then. What they do at the end of the tour is they do their own blanket check, regardless of whether if anybody's raised a ticket or not. It's a blanket check across the entire player base for that tournament. Okay, so it's two things.
I'll show you one reason why Wargaming does nothing. Because these will affect some teams to change, and Wargaming does not want this to happen. Because, for example,
I can't agree with you there, Inman, because I'm just looking at summer and autumn season last year. Clans across all servers, players across all servers. I mean, GV lost their prize fund. That's an entire clan. They lost their prize fund. It happened on NA.
What?
In the tournaments, that Wargaming did their blanket check, okay, and they penalised clans. GV lost their prize fund. They lost it in the summer season, I believe.
Okay, listen.
So it does happen. It does happen.
What I'm telling you, the thing is that during the tournament, if one clan will be disqualified, the Wargaming should include the one below it, correct?
No. What Wargaming have banned? Wargaming have disqualified clans before in tournaments. They disqualified clans before.
They disqualified as minors, but they did not allow First Alliance to play in the top 4.
Oh, but that was back then. The rules and the way they approached things were different.
The same. The rules were
but
same.
their approach was different.
They did not any rematches.
No,
they don't do rematches.
They don't do rematches. So what they do is, if a clan, let's say the clan is in the top 8, and they do their check, and they find that one of the clans in the top 8 has broken the rules, and it's more than just one player, then the clan gets banned. The clan gets penalised. Okay, and that's happened before, and then they get booted out, and then the clan that was in 9th basically gets elevated. That's generally what happens, and that's happened on Asia. That has happened on Asia. I've seen that happen. So, you know, GV is the prime example of that. GV got penalised. Is Jack still here? Because I'm not looking at Discord. Sorry.
Jack is here.
I'm here. I want to say a lot of things, but I think.
There was one clan on Asia that was permabanned, absolutely permabanned for doing account sharing, and they came back as a different clan. And that again was raised, and you know these things are looked into. So it's incorrect to say Wargaming don't want to take any action. That's not fair, because they have taken action and clans have been penalised. But what I will say is the following: they only do this when they have enough evidence And this is where we're all stumbling, because we may think that there's enough evidence, there's a smoking gun, and it may not be. I don't know. And that's where we're subjective. We may have our own views, which are perfectly fine and acceptable. And I go back to the shenanigans that have recently happened in America. You know, we may think that Donald Trump is fully guilty, or we may not. And these are our views. But on the face of it, he's now being vindicated by the Senate. We may agree with that, we may not agree with that. We may think the evidence against him was overwhelming. We may think it was underwhelming. And that's our view. But he's faced a trial and he's been released, so to speak.
What if, you remember the situation with Team A and Team B, what if, due to these changes and account sharing, the team reached top 8? What should have been done?
We're now hypothetical. I mean, if Wargaming, during their investigations now, find out that the team has account shared, then they'll leave the top 8, and basically what'll happen is the team that was in 9th will then get booted up. It's as simple as that.
But what if nobody from the team which is registered for the top 8 was account sharing? What if it was second team of the clan?
Like I said, I mean, I know where you're coming from, and I've looked into this myself already, and I am not, I'm sorry, and I've argued this with other players, okay? I'm not just arguing it with you, because I know what you're getting at, and I've already argued with a notable clan leader the same points I'm making now. I am not, there is not enough evidence to prove one or the other. There's not enough. And the clan leader I was arguing with,
because of you
no,
don't
no,
have
no.
the evidence.
No.
Others do.
The clan leader. Well, then if you've got the evidence, okay, then by all means raise it to Wargaming. But that's your right.
Already did.
Fine.
Already did.
Then Wargaming will do their checks and balances. And if they
And
feel,
believe me,
there's
they'll
enough
do
evidence,
nothing.
then we're back in a circular motion. See, this is the circular motion that we're in, mate. Because you will not get the action that you particularly want, doesn't mean to say they're wrong. And this is why I'm saying you've got to look at things from a different viewpoint. You know, a lot of people think Donald Trump is guilty for what he was accused of and should have been impeached. A lot of people still believe that, but he's been found innocent of that particular thing and effectively acquitted. A lot of people still don't believe that. Doesn't mean that, you know, just because it's, you know, just because the outcome is not what I wanted doesn't make it right. And this is the thing. And as I've said, Wargaming, and I know this for a fact, and Jack, you also know this for a fact, when they've got enough evidence, they will throw the book at the clan. And they will throw the book at the people. They will ban them, and they will perma-ban them if they're account sharing. And they will absolutely punish the clan, because they've done it before across all servers, NA, Asia, and EU. Now, if they come to a decision that we don't like, well, that's a different argument. We just don't like it. We can't turn around and say, oh, because Wargaming didn't come out with the decision that I wanted, they are acting in some way incorrectly. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Do you agree with the statement that when there is a huge lots of consequences, that becomes a fact, not only the consequences?
No, I can't agree with that. How can I agree that because there's a lot of consequences it becomes a fact? No, I don't agree with that. And the reason I don't agree with that is because I see consequences I see things that are circumstantial every day. Okay? I mean, I'm a lawyer. I see circumstantial evidence all over the yin-yang. And I can sit there and say, oh, you know, if I join all the dots, 2 and 2 equals 5. No. I can only go on what I can prove. Okay? And if I can prove a certain thing, then it makes it a lot easier. If I can't prove a certain thing, then I may have my own opinions, but they're just my opinions. I can't turn around and say anything else. And just because I think a particular thing, if that particular, it's like, for example, there's lots of things I think. And just because somebody doesn't agree with me, or an outcome is not what I think it should be, doesn't make it incorrect, if you know what I mean.
Coincidence that Felix joined us. Hi, Felix.
Okay, can I talk now?
I'm just saying, guys, you've got to be very objective in these things, and this is the thing, you know. Just because a decision doesn't go the way that you think it should go, doesn't mean it's the wrong decision. Just means it's a decision that you don't like. That's completely different.
If 1,000 people will come and say this is not correct, but then you will be the only one saying, well, I am objective and this is not against the rules.
No.
This is not the correct way.
I tell you what, if 1,000 people come to me and say this is not correct, and I say to 1,000 people, okay, is that your moral viewpoint or is it because they broke the law? And they say it's because they broke the law. I say fine, show me the law they've broken and show me the evidence that shows that they have broken the law. And then I'll sit with the 1,000 people. But until 1,000, you know, because until then, I can bring 1,001 people to say, actually, no, it is correct. You know, you've got to be careful going down these roads because, look, when I went to university, okay, and I tried to get into one of the best universities in the UK, I was asked to write a paper on when is a moral right a legal wrong, and when is a legal right a moral wrong. Okay? Now,
it is a tough theme.
It is. And there is lots of examples in life. And I'll give you a prime example. Everybody, and I mean everybody in the world, can agree that slavery is morally wrong. We can all agree on that. It goes without question. Yet,
Depends on the situation.
but from a moral viewpoint,
I'm also some kind of the lawyer, you know.
yeah, but from a moral viewpoint, we know slavery is wrong. We know that. Yet
Yeah.
I know of laws that made slavery correct. So there is a time when there was a moral wrong that everybody knew was wrong morally. Your morals are your morals, but the law said it was okay. So we can go around saying, oh, morally, I don't agree with this. And that's fine. That's fine and dandy. That's great. But they're not breaking the law, so they're never going to be prosecuted. And that's the same here. Just because we don't agree with something, unless there is evidence and enough evidence to show that they are fully in breach, then, and if we think we've submitted the evidence and they've been investigated and the decision is they're not in breach, just because the decision is not what we expect doesn't make it, you know, the wrong decision. It just makes it a decision that we don't agree with. Simple as that. And there are lots of decisions I see every day that I don't agree with. I think they're crazy. I think lots of decisions are mad. But I can question them myself, but I can't turn around and say, well, hang on a minute, these people are corrupt. You just can't do that. It's not fair. Because what you then tend to do is then you are now venturing into the realm of actually what you're venturing to realm of doing actions that you're actually yourself complaining about, because one of the rules is not to bully or abuse or anything. And this is my point. When you start calling clans in players out with firstly not enough evidence, or secondly on issues that they haven't broken the rules but are against your view morally, then you're moving into territory where you're actually attacking people, which is a form of bullying. you know, two wrongs don't make a right. And all I'm saying is, it ain't the player and it ain't the clan. If you've got the evidence, then Wargaming, they need to raise a ticket, they'll investigate, and if they find that there's anything wrong, they will take action. As long as they've got enough evidence, they will take action. If it's not breaking the rules, then, you know, pressure Wargaming to change the rules is all I'm saying. Because until then, we are in danger of crossing that boundary of bullying people and abusing people because we don't agree with their actions morally. Not because they've done
We
something.
think they
not
did something incorrect. Yeah, I
Yeah,
understood.
yeah.
But what do you think about
gotta be careful.
indirect evidences?
Well, indirect. It's circumstantial. Indirect evidence is circumstantial evidence. It's circumstantial. When you say indirect,
Alright,
what do
Ken.
you mean? What do you mean? It's circumstantial evidence.
Oh my gosh.
It's
am I-
a
Jack
difficult.
already understood. Jack already understood everything. Believe me. The same as
Well-
Felix did.
Well, yes and no. I mean, you're asking. I mean, you're asking me. I mean, look, my morals are going to be different to yours. My viewpoint is going to be different to yours. And the thing a lot of people need to understand about me personally, okay, I'm a stickler for the rules myself. Okay, I don't go around abusing people in game, telling them to get cancer and die and all this sort of crap. Okay, I will push it. I will call them idiots. I will call them morons. You know, but that's just because that's how I feel and I'm a human being. And I don't go around saying to people, don't call people morons or idiots. But I do go around saying, don't say get cancer and die. Because, you know, that's wrong. I don't block people. I don't go around blocking people. I don't go around, you know, doing things and then sit here on a high pedestal saying, by the way, you know, these people are wrong, yet I do it myself. I don't do that. I'm all about fairness and reasonableness. Okay? Now, I'm also about loyalty. And I will argue, you know, I argue for a living, basically. But if somebody brings something to me and that thing on the balance of probability says to me that that person has broken the rules, then I will say that person has broken the rules. Simple as that. You know, and I've done that. I have done that. And I'll give you two examples. And I'm gonna name people now. So over a year ago now, there were a load of videos doing the rounds about Ernest of APA using an aimbot. There were videos everybody was calling him out. He's using an aimbot, he's a cheat, he's an aimbot, cheat, aimbot. I think I was the only person to stand up and say, no, this is unfair. There's no evidence he's using an aimbot. I've got no evidence he's using an aimbot. It looks suspicious, but suspicion is only one thing. And I don't agree that he's using an aimbot. And boy, did I get did I get a lot of sort of backlash from the community. Yet, after a while, everybody came to the same conclusion. Oh, he's not using an aimbot. Oh, it's not as bad as we think. He's just memeing us. He's just joking with us. Then, about, 6 months ago, I commented on a video which included a player from APA and a player at that point in time from Loca on Faust. And I purposely said in that video, and I called that person out, I'm sorry, that person is wrong. And I forget the player's name now because they keep changing their names. And they were both pros. And I pulled out the person from Loca and I said, they are wrong. They have purposely blocked the IS-7, preventing the IS-7 getting damage in order for their platoon mate to get 10,000 damage in the 50M. And I called them out because that is a breach of the rules, and I had evidence in front of me showing me that it's wrong. Simple. And I will continue to do that. But until I am convinced myself, I will never call them out publicly. Never. Never. Because I don't think that's right. Who am I? Because I may disagree with actions. I may disagree with methodologies. I may disagree with tactics, okay? But until they break the rules, it's up to them. They may not sit well with me morally, but that's between me and the person. And I will raise that from my own personal standpoint, morally, between me and that person. But the moment they cross that line, and it's no longer a moral issue, but there is clear, unambiguous evidence showing that they have broken the rules, then I will say, you've broken the rules. And, you know, you need to face the consequences for breaking the rules. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you break the rules, you break the law. Simple as that. Simple as that. And if you break the rules in a tournament, then effectively you're cheating. Simple as that. And this is the way it is. But until you break those rules, and until it is unambiguous and clear, then I will never denounce them. I will denounce the action, never the player, and never the clan. And I will say, Wargaming, change this. Wargaming, change this. Prevent this from happening. So if it does happen in the future, we can turn around with our hands on hearts and say, this person has broken the rules. Until then, it's the way it is my view.
Okay. Noted.
It's just, you know, and I'm like that with everybody, mate. You know, I'm not just arguing this because I happen to be in a particular clan or I happen to be friends with particular people. Because, no, that's not the way I work. It's never been the way I work.
We don't show the names, do we?
No, I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying, you know, I've been in clans that people have hated, okay? And I mean hated, truly hated. And I was hounded for being in that clan. Okay? Now, some of the things that those individuals did in their personal life, I may not agree with. But it wasn't part of the game, and ergo, it was nothing that I was involved in. Yet, apparently, I'm guilty for the actions of those individuals. And that's not right. So I got bullied for something I didn't do. But the people bullying me thought it was it's okay to bully me. It's perfectly fine to bully me.
Because you're a media person. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like I said to you earlier, and I mean this, the rules apply equally. Two wrongs don't make a right. They don't. So if you're going to attack me for somebody else's actions and then bully me, you are equally as bad as the person that you're complaining about. You're not better.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And that's my point. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. And this is why my approach has always been, I will always bring a fair and even and reasonable approach to everything. And this is why I argue with a lot of people. Because all I'm doing is looking at from a reasonable and fair perspective. And I've said this to many people, you know, there are other consequences, there are other things, and, you know, to condemn one, and as I gave you earlier, to condemn APA for throwing the game against APA, okay. Do I then condemn Feast for memeing against GSM? Where do I draw the line? That's my point. And, you know, just because some people don't like APA, they're easier to attack. People like Feast. They're not so easy to attack. You understand? And it then becomes very biased in our approach. And we then start lashing out at these certain people because we don't like them. Or, you know, they've got a history of suspect activity. But they've never been caught. It's just the way it is. And like I said, just because the decision doesn't go the way we want it, doesn't necessarily mean it's the wrong decision. It just means it's the decision we don't agree with. That's all. Anyway, I've argued enough. Now it's over to somebody else to have a say.
Oh gosh, thank you. No, I mean, we were pretty much going around in circles pretty much in the last few hours. But I want to present some pretty interesting view here. If we go back to, I mean, I don't want to call out certain clans in this example, but allow me to bring an example here. Um, I mean, I'm sorry to APA once again, but I want to use the example here. So, so we all know like what happened to APA second team against the first team, right?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, but just raise
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So, so we know Wargaming cannot prove there is rigging at place or there is no passive play at place, right? So, yeah, this is something that they cannot prove. I'm not saying like APA is guilty of rigging or being passive though. I've been kind of curious about some of the game rules that is in the World Time Splits, which I think gives some subjectivity for Wargaming side. So essentially, I'm going to point out two of this. Two of the lines that from the game rules here. So 1.23, we are saying that performing actions or performing actions that, in the opinion of the administration, I think this is a very important one, violates the law, standards of morality or ethics, or is undesirable. So, and another, we probably know it more, which is 2.1.7, other forms of unsporting behavior at the discretion of the administration. So my main point is this. So if Wargaming thinks a certain action is not something that they agree, it's something that they disagree with, that they think it's they deem it is a violation of like the standards of morality or ethics, something like that. So so in this case, so if Wargaming thinks that that chat's YOLOing, ramming into the mouse is actually a violation of standards or morality of ethics, I mean, this action it's kind of clear on the stream. Then can Wargaming from this kind of line here, at their own opinion, at their own discretion, deem it as a violation of the rules here? I think this is a kind of an interesting thing here. I think these two lines does give like Wargaming some kind of like subjectivity where they deem a certain action to be something that is not in the spirit of the competition and stuff like that. So can they really do something like that? It's something that's my question
Well,
here.
discretion means either way. It's up to them. I mean, if
Yeah, it's up to
Wargaming,
them. It's up
if
to them.
Wargaming
So
look
if
at
they
that,
think if they think if it doesn't violate the standards of morality or ethics, yeah, they can think it's all right. It's totally all right.
correct. And if they think it does violate, then they can say it violates. So discretion
Yeah.
is just that. It's up to them.
Yeah,
And
it's up to them. Yeah.
you know, it's how they use their discretion. I mean, you know, without disclosing too much, you've seen Wargaming's view on that particular point, and their view was
Yeah.
pretty sound. We've looked at the game, we've reviewed the game, and in our opinion, there is no passive play and no evidence to suggest it was
Or
rigged.
they don't think that the action is violating the standards of morality or
Yeah,
ethics
exactly.
in their opinion.
And they
Yeah.
you know, and they said this. So I go back to, just because we may not agree with that outcome doesn't make the outcome wrong. Just means we don't agree with it. We may have a different view, but it's like everything in life. You know, there are cases in law what I think, wow, this person's banged to rights. He's going to go to jail, and then he gets let off, and I sit there thinking, oh, how did that happen? But he's been judged. You know, it's not for me to then turn around. I mean, I can appeal it if I'm a lawyer, and you know, I can do that. But if I'm not the lawyer, I'm just a bystander and just a person outside of it. I can be upset, I can be disappointed, but there's nothing much I can do about it. It was the judge and the jury on the day. Now, if I'm the accused person and I've been sent to jail incorrectly, or I'm the victim and I think it's been too lenient, then I can appeal it, of course. And you know, we have these mechanisms in place. Now, the way it works with Wargaming is there are no appeals, because their decision is their decision. And we may not like their decision, We may not agree
Yeah.
with their decision, but we have to accept their decision. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's just the way it is. And if we then go on and on and on about it afterwards, then it boils down to what I said earlier. You know, the player has been vindicated, the clan has been vindicated. If you don't agree with it, then you need to pressure Wargaming to tighten up on their rules. So, you know, such decisions are easier to address going forward, is the point.
Yeah, and I think I did kind of mention somewhere that I do think Wargaming needs to be more stricter with how they think is violation of, let's say, standards of morality, of ethics, or how they think about whether certain actions are not in the spirit of the competition. This is something that I hope Wargaming can tighten their grips on, because currently I do think there needs more to be done. That's kind of my opinion, but it all depends on Wargaming whether they decide
Absolutely,
to
that's the
tighten
thing.
it or not.
It all depends on Wargaming. And, you know, as I've said before, and I'll keep saying it, there's knock-on effects to everything. And, you know, like I said earlier, yes, we may sit here and we may turn around and say that game, APA versus APA, was disgusting. It was clear APA's second team was throwing the game. They had no intention of playing. They were giving it to APA's main team. Okay, throw the book at them. And while you're at it, let's pick up the same book and throw it at Feast. Because it was clear Feast weren't intending to play a proper game the other day against GSM. Because they were secure in the top 8, they didn't need to do anything, blah, blah, blah. Where do we draw this line? Okay? Where do we draw this line? Because the rules are universal. You can't bend them because you like a clan and you don't like a clan. Or you like a player and you don't like a player. The laws and the rules are non-discriminatory. They don't discriminate. They apply equally. And like someone said, oh, APA didn't take, you know, only took 5 players. So, throw the book at them for cheating. And then at the same token, throw the book at all the other clans that I've seen, the lower order clans, even though they're not in the top 8. You know, I streamed a game the other day with Kana where the clan only had 5 players. Throw the book at them for cheating. Oh, but there's no evidence. No. You're saying if they only take 5 out, they're cheating. Throw the book at the clan that went out against Kana, who was a 48% win rate clan. Throw the book at them for only having 48. Then throw the book at Endgame for only having 6. The rules don't discriminate. And we can't pick and choose because that clan we happen not to like or we suspect them. It doesn't work that way. Because what we're then doing, we are forcing our own morality onto people. You can't do that. You can't force your morality onto people. You know, a lot of people don't like APA, but on the same token, a lot of people love APA. It's not for us to turn around and say, APA, you know, we should pick on APA. Fine. Then we should pick on all the other clans who do exactly the same actions. And it's the same as, you know, people pick on other clans, you know, for whatever reason. Like, people pick on Vale for using a second team. Okay, then pick on all the other clans for using a second team. It doesn't matter how many cups Vale's second team won. APA and Turk's second team won a lot of cups on PYS 8. Pick on them as well. Where do you draw this line? It's a really big line because, as I said, you cannot discriminate. You've got to go into this open-minded, and you cannot show bias over one clan over another. All should be treated equally and fairly. And if one is breaking a rule, and it's a clear break of the rule, then fine, penalise them. But if they're breaking what we perceive to be unsporting or morally incorrect, then you have to apply your unsporting and morally incorrect criteria across every clan. Every clan, without exception. And that's when it becomes difficult.
There's also, can I talk about something? It's
Of
a
course.
different topic, but it's
Of course.
also kind of... well, Midzi actually explained it already on his video about, like, somebody from Legion, Stacy, she got banned because she was not shooting an enemy E75, and she got perma-banned for it.
Yes, because that would be seen as passive play at the discretion of Wargaming potentially.
What's your opinion on that?
I haven't seen the video, so I can't say. Is the honest answer. And I don't know. Is the honest answer. You know, I would have to review the video and see if there was an intention to play passively or not. And you know, with respect to media, I do watch his videos, but I haven't seen that one. Sorry. so I couldn't. Well, there you go. So I couldn't say. I couldn't say, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Until I see that video, and but it's not a big but. It's just a but. But you know, if there is evidence, and on the face of it, prima facie, it looks like you are playing passively, you know, then yeah, Wargaming will investigate. Now, there could be an argument. There could be saying, oh, you know, and I've seen this before. For example, I went into a quick tour with Bolt, who's a very good player, and he forgot to load ammunition. Now, that was a mistake. It wasn't his. It was just, he was just being.
Oh well.
Just a mistake.
Fugit.
You know, you can't.
Yesterday, Nikita also didn't load
exactly
ammo.
But you can't then turn around and say, oh, he did the entire battle without shooting anybody. There you go, it's passive play. No, he made a mistake. He forgot to load ammo. So again, there are other things that need to be considered, and I would hope that an investigation was looked into rather than just a ban hammer. And maybe they haven't done an investigation. They've just looked at it on the face of it and said, okay, it looks like passive play. You've not shot.
No, but
I don't know. Because you'll
reason
see.
why Stacy.
I don't know. Yeah, of course.
The reason why she got banned is because she was in a 704.
Okay.
And in the enemy platoon, in the enemy team, there was an E75, and the E75 said "Hi Legion." You see that a lot.
Okay.
Random, just
Yeah.
saying names of clans and saying hi.
Yeah.
So Stacy said back hi as well, just to be friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Then the battle continues, and Stacy basically gets a very sneaky shot into the E75, and she then goes on to the chat and says, sorry, it was like, that was really lucky, you know, because she feels sorry for the guy.
Okay.
And that's, okay, well, that's what happened. And then the E75 and a grill on the enemy team, they push on her.
Okay.
What she does next is, instead of focusing the E75 in front of her, she shoots the grill with HE, because she thinks the grill is the more important target to focus.
And it is.
It is, correct. And then she does another shot into the grill for another HE, and next she goes together with her platoon mate Object 3. She goes ahead and rushes a 50B that's behind the E75 again, because she thinks it's the logical target. It's more dangerous. It's on a reload.
Okay.
And then, well, she dies to the 50B. But then the grill starts moaning about rigging. He thinks the grill that E75 and Stacy in the 704 were rigging the battles for damage and not focusing each other, and that's why she got permabanned.
Well, like I said, I haven't seen it, but on what you're telling me at the moment, I get a lot of people say hi Vale. I get a lot of people say hi Fugit in random battles. I say sorry to people all the time. I mean, there was one game I played the other day where I ammo racked some poor guy in the first sort of 20 seconds of the game, and I said sorry. Doesn't mean to say I'm rigging it. It's, just being polite. And yeah, I mean, I will pick targets according to what I think is the more dangerous target or the easiest target for me to take out. And if I'm in a 50B, I would think a grill is more dangerous than an E75, to be honest with you, because the grill can hurt me a lot more than an E75, believe me. But without seeing the video, I wouldn't be able to say for certain. But it's clear that a complaint has been raised, a ticket has been raised, probably by whoever feels that
Grill.
she rigged, and action has been taken by Wargaming on the space on the face of that, and no doubt she will be entitled to appeal that. To be honest with you.
Yeah, she did. And well, yeah.
But like I said, without seeing the video, I can't say. I can't say for certain. Is the honest answer. I would need to see the video.
I have the replay.
Well, yeah, by all means send me the replay, and I'll also look at Mita's video. But without looking at both of them, I really couldn't say either way. It would be unfair of me to do that. To be honest with you. I mean, from the sound of it, it sounds very harsh, but without seeing it, I can't say. Is the honest answer. But this is what I'm saying. This is where it becomes, Wargaming do take action in a lot of scenarios, and that's what I'm saying. It's not correct to say that they don't, because they do, and sometimes we don't agree with their decisions. Let's say, let's just say that. But yeah, after this, I'll go and watch that video by all means. I haven't got an issue with that. So what else were we discussing? Anything else?
I think I also want to raise a really pretty interesting point about the usage of the both words denounce and condemn, because I do have quite a bit of think about that, and I do search look at the dictionary of these two words, and I have to think about whether we can condemn someone or we can denounce someone. If we think it's morally wrong, but may not have necessarily broken the rules. But allow me to continue for that. So I found that denounce, it means publicly declare to be wrong or evil, and condemn to be expressing complete disapproval of. So kind of my take on this is that you might not be able to denounce because you have to do it publicly, and then you probably might involve, like what Fugit's been really very, very strong about. You might fall under the bullying category for something like that, or maybe it's not a breach of rules, and the only thing we can do is to throw the book at the people who are making the rules. But for condemn, I mean, you can, like the team, the people might not have broken the rules, but if you but you can disagree with their actions. So essentially, maybe condemn, it means like you completely disagree with that action, and I think it's valid then. But I don't know what you think about this.
Well, as I say, I mean, every action that we take has an impact. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do we judge that impact? It's not for you, the person saying a thing, to say if it's harassment or bullying. It's for the person receiving what you're saying to judge whether they're being harassed or bullied.
True, that's true.
So harassment and bullying is wrong in all shapes and forms, both morally and against the rules. So you shouldn't go around bullying people. Now, just because you have a view on a particular thing, if that particular thing in itself is not a breach and just something that you feel strongly against, okay, because morally you think it's wrong, then again, who are you to then point fingers at a particular player or individual and call them out? Because you yourself then are breaking a moral wrong. You're effectively potentially bullying or harassing somebody, or giving rise to them being bullied or harassed. That's the thing. So I've seen many. You've seen it all the time. Many YouTube videos, especially on Blitz, where somebody's said a particular thing about a player or a Blitz YouTuber, and then they've been subjected to a campaign of abuse by that particular by people who've watched that video who support that YouTuber. And you will see repeatedly in a lot of YouTubers' videos where they do things like this, saying, you know, I am not asking you, don't go and hate on this person, don't abuse this person, because they know what's going to happen. And I keep telling you this: 2 wrongs do not make a right, and that is the point. And you know, it would be wrong for me personally to say I don't agree with this, and then I'm going to scream from the top of the rooftops. You know, the person who's doing this, he may not be breaking the rules, but I don't agree with it morally, and I'm going to scream from the rooftops, and I want everybody to listen to me, and I want everybody to join me in screaming from the rooftops, because then you're just bullying somebody, and you're whipping up a crowd to then bully that person, and that's not fair. That's equally as wrong, if not worse. And that's why I say it's a fine line, and it's you've got to be aware of the consequences of every single action. And I go back to Ernest of APA. You know, somebody did a video on him saying he was using an aimbot. The abuse Ernest got when he went into the game: cheater, you should be banned. You know, where's your aimbot? Blah 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 blah. And he got it almost every single time he logged in. You know, the abuse was just abuse. It was just abuse after abuse after abuse. But he wasn't using an aimbot. It was an opinion. And so all of a sudden, you know, everybody's convinced he's breaking the rules. Everybody's convinced he's got an aimbot. He hasn't got an aimbot. Wargaming took no action. He was reported. It was found no aimbot. And was it fair to have Ernest subjected to so much harassment? No. But still, to this day, people are still saying he's got an aimbot. To this day, people are still saying he's a cheat. To this day, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And this is the danger that we have. Unless we've got evidence to show that Ernest has, for certain, got an aimbot, then we have stoked a vicious campaign of hatred and abuse against somebody for absolutely zero reason other than our own moral compass and opinions. And I don't agree with that. I cannot agree with that situation. I cannot.
True.
And I can never agree with that. Which is why I use such words as condemn and denounce. And because, you know, you're setting into motion a shed load of other things that can take place that are outside your control. You know, if I turn around tomorrow and say, you know what, Clan A did something that I don't agree with. I think it's almost tantamount to cheating. It's not in the rules, but what they're doing gives them an unfair advantage, and you know, basically, it's like cheating.
Right.
And I say that. Then I've got people who may join with me, and all of a sudden, Clan A is completely demonized, and everybody's running around saying Clan A are cheats. Fugit says Clan A are cheats, so they must be cheats. And every time Clan A, doesn't matter who they are, anybody with that clan tag suddenly rolls out, you're a cheat. How dare you? You're a cheat. You're a cheat. You're a cheat. And that's just wrong. And the very thing I'm complaining about, which is unsportsmanship behaviour, is now the very thing that I myself am fostering and encouraging. You know, and as I said earlier, at the end of the day, the rules and everything is non-discriminatory. We don't, you know, these things don't discriminate. If you don't agree with one, then you have to look at all the other clans who have taken such action, and you have to condemn them too. And I keep coming back to Feast against GSM. It was clear from their lineup that Feast were just relaxing, having fun, chilling out. Does that mean that they're rigging a game? Does that mean that they're acting unsportsmanlike? No. But at the same token, you can't then condemn APA. If you condemn APA, you've got to condemn Feast. If you don't condemn Feast, you can't condemn APA. That's how it works. You cannot discriminate. You can't do that. If you have a problem, if you have a problem with a particular clan having a 100% win rate, then you have to have a problem with every clan that has a 100% win rate.
That is true. That is true.
If you have a problem with a clan with a second team, you have to have a problem with every clan with a second team. It's you can't discriminate and pick and choose which rules and which morals we wish to follow because we like this clan or we prefer this clan. You can't do that. That in itself is not even-handed and it's wrong. And that's all I'm saying.
Sure.
You know, when it comes to this, we all have our own views on our own moralities. But you've got to apply everything
very
evenly.
Point, which you as a lawyer can understand, the thing of inactivity.
Inactivity.
When I've made it myself. I've made some law studies, and there is cases where person were punished for being inactive during some illegal actions.
Mm-hmm.
And you should know that.
It depends. I mean, there's lots of there's scenarios where by taking no action will make it a criminal offence, and taking some action.
Yeah. Simple example. You see someone on the street robbing the bag from the woman or from the man, whatever it takes, yeah? And you do nothing with this. You're inactive during the illegal activities. You will be punished the same way as the robber does.
No, because we're not our brother's keeper. There is no law. There's no law that says I must intervene. For example, I mean, maybe it differs in civil law. I'm not a civil lawyer. I'm a common law lawyer. But in the UK,
civil law,
so in the UK, I can walk down the road and I can see a man being stabbed. There's no law saying I have to take any action. I can carry on walking past if I want. Morally, I will phone the police. Morally, I will try and get involved. But that's morally. Now, I'll give you a different example, and this is a true real life example, and it's one that I myself came across when I was in the British Army in Germany. So, two British soldiers in Hamburg witnessed a woman being stabbed in her leg. Okay. And they cut the artery in her leg, the perpetrator. So one of the British soldiers, because he's trained to an extent in medical procedures, applied pressure to the pressure point to stem the blood flow. Now the pressure point for that part is actually in the groin area. He saved her life. She then sued him for sexual assault. This is why we have a law. You're not your brother's keeper. That guy saved that woman's life and she sued him for sexual assault because he had to touch close to where her private parts are in order to stop the blood flow. This is where it gets tricky. You know, this is why if you, as a doctor, if you were a doctor and you are not obliged to treat anybody who's not your patient. Do you know that? You're not obliged.
Yeah, I know.
So you can see somebody having a heart attack in a restaurant. If he's not your patient, you don't have to do anything about it. And nobody can criticise you. You can't be held accountable for that. You're not your brother's keeper. So
the thing is that in the business law, which I was doing, there was a case, actually not actually only the business law, it was a business shipping law. There was a case when the whole crew of the ship was judged that they were wrong and they were like inactive when they received the SOS sign, but they were far away, they had their own route, and they just continue going their route
Yeah,
without doing any action.
but I mean, you get this all the time. I mean, there's lots of different laws. There's collusion, there's aiding and abetting, there's encouraging, there's lots of different things. So, for example, if I'm sat in a restaurant with my friends, and my friends say to me, "We're now going to rob the bank," and I do nothing about that. Yeah, I know they're going to rob the bank, and they walk out the restaurant and then rob the bank. By me doing nothing, I've aided and abetted them robbing the bank. Okay, that's how that works. Because I know them, I'm part of their group. If I just overhear somebody saying they're going to rob a bank and then they go and rob a bank, I've not aided and abetted. I've not been part of the group. I have not been able to say my voice or be vocal on that particular thing. But I was part of the first group. They were my friends. I knew them. I was part of the conversation. I could have turned around and said, "Guys, what are you doing? That's stupid. You don't go rob banks. You're idiots." If I don't do that, if I don't actively discourage them from breaking the law in that, then I could be found guilty of aiding and abetting a criminal offence. But as an individual person, no, I'm not. So, it's there's lots of different ways and means around, when it comes to laws. And you have to look at things. I mean, every case is judged on its merits because every case is different. And in this particular, when I start looking at things, and we're not talking about breaches of rules. We're talking about not only, we're talking about moral things a lot of the time when it comes to blitz. And some of the things that we talk about are moral in nature. We don't agree with them because morally, we don't think they're right. Now, morally is one thing. Breaking the rules is something completely different. That's what I'm saying. And we have to be very careful when it comes to morals. Because, as I said to Jack a minute ago, whilst we may be vocal on a particular thing that we think is morally incorrect, we could then be ourselves venturing into a territory that the very thing we're complaining about, i.e. bad sportsmanship, etc., we are now actively encouraging. It's that straightforward to me.
Yeah, I understand, but I guess here we have just like different opinions because, in my opinion, I'll better overdo than undo. If you understand what I'm meaning.
Yeah, but you have to be careful there. That's like the opinion. It's better to lock. It's better to have 9 innocent people locked up so one guilty one doesn't go free. I mean, it's you've got to be really careful. Is what I'm saying. Whereas realistically, it's better to have one guilty person go free rather than 9 innocent people locked up. I mean, it's swings and roundabouts, and it's.
I'll better overdo. In any case, I'll better overdo because
and that's completely up to you. And if that's your personality and if that's the way you approach things, then nobody can criticize you or shout you down for that. But people will debate and argue with you, of course.
I will agree if everyone criticizes me. I just simply don't care, because for my own principles, I will better overdo and, for example, let 10 people die. Then I will let one person go, and then he slays 100 persons.
then I mean, whatever your principles are. See, I'm a great believer in, whatever I do or try to do in my life, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, okay, be that physically, mentally, or psychologically, then I'm quite happy with my actions, okay. So that's just my set of morals. So I don't purposely. I will purposely go around and I will generally take action that I feel, on the base of it, will not fundamentally cause pain or hardship to somebody else. And if it does, then I will be the first one to turn around and apologise profusely, saying that was never my intention. You know, because that's not my intention, and I'm a great believer in that. We should go around not purposely trying to hurt people.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
That's what it is.
don't.
So that is why I mean, if I don't know what to say about this, but we have to be really careful with what we are presenting
Yes, we
as
do.
like influencers.
Yes, we do. And this is the thing. I mean, and this is why I keep saying, guys, argue the act. Don't argue the individual. Blame the. If you're going to blame somebody, don't blame an individual. Blame the entity. The entity is Wargaming. It's not an individual. Okay. Blame the entity. Hang on. What are you doing behind me? What, you think I can't see you in the camera? What are you doing?
I want to tell you about a thing now.
Well, wait. Because blaming Wargaming as a corporation, it's not going to get upset or offended when you say its rules are shit. When you turn around and say to an individual, morally you're corrupt and you're basically doing things that are equal to cheating, when they don't think that themselves, they think they're just, they're not breaking the rules, they're abiding, then you are therefore demonizing somebody incorrectly, judged on your view. That's not fair. If you think that the thing is morally wrong, i.e. having two teams or 100% win rate or whatever you want to say it is, then attack the entity that has not closed that down. Simple. By all means, criticize the moral side of the act. Don't criticize the morality of the person doing the act, unless it is, of course, a breach of the rules.
I will criticize everything, actually.
That's your
I
call.
will choose to.
That's your
I
call.
will choose to.
But on the same token, you also therefore have to be prepared for the repercussions of that. Because the moment somebody feels that you are not whiter than white, then they will criticize you, and you will have no comeback.
Because I have 100% fine with it.
Well,
Because
that's fine then.
if the criticism is argumentational, I don't have nothing to do this, and I will accept everything which person says, unless he comes to say and tells me you are a retard. Why? Because you are a retard.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, that's the way I sit there. I sit there thinking, well, hang on a moment. Unless I am 100% squeaky clean, whiter than white, who am I to say that these people are morally corrupt? I'm not. Because I only need to make one mistake that somebody disagrees with, and then all of a sudden I'm open to abuse as well. And it's happened. And you've got to be mindful of this, guys. You may be thick-skinned, and you may think, or you may say, well, I will continue to speak my mind, which is fine. And if people then attack me, then I'm thick-skinned enough to take it. Then that's fine, that's up to you. But if you then get upset when people attack you because they're attacking you for the similar reasons that you attacked people in the past, then you can't cry about it. You can't do that. You can't turn around and say, how dare these people attack me? I've not broken the rules. You can't do that. You can't do that.
I just thought about a few persons during the season who did the same thing, and they were crying why everyone is abusing them.
That's my point. You can't do that. You can't go around pointing fingers at everybody for not breaking rules but being morally corrupt, and then when somebody points a finger at you saying that you're morally corrupt and you haven't broken the rules, turn around and say this is unfair. I've not broken the rules. You can't do that. It works both ways. It swings and it's roundabouts. Anyway,
It goes.
we've been talking about this for far too long, like 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours.
Yes.
So let's knock it on the head there, please, because there are other streams about to take place with Amunet in every good taken, and no
Every
doubt-
good take.
no, every good name is taken, and no doubt
Yes.
everybody now after 0 accuracy has mentioned it is legging it over to Meads' stream, Meads' channel to watch that video.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Right, it's been an interesting discussion, and no doubt it won't be the last. It won't be the last. But as I said, you know, as much as Inman, you're saying that your views, your way is your way, and your principles are your principles. I'm the same. My principles are my principles. My views are my views, and I don't sit here trying to force my views and my principles on anybody. You know, not everybody's going to agree with me, and I accept that. And not everybody's going to think that I'm talking rationally, and I accept that. But as I said, my basic moral code is as long as I don't hurt anybody, then fine. Then, you know, that's what I live my moral code out. I try not to hurt anybody, be it psychologically, physically, or whatever, or even metaphorically. And I'm good with that. So, anyway, an interesting discussion. An interesting discussion.
Sure.
And right, with that, thank you for the discussion anyway, guys. I mean, a lot of people liked it, a lot of people didn't.
Oh.
No, it's always the way. Not everybody wants to hear such things.
Oh.
Not everybody wants to hear me.
No. Everybody wants to hear such things, and that's understandable. I mean, you know, people come on to obviously probably talk about the game or whatever, and may not be interested in tournaments. I don't know. I mean, you know,
True.
like I said, not everybody in Blitz is interested in tournaments.
Yep.
So, you know, some people out there will think, well, they've just spent 2.5 hours talking about bloody tournaments, and we're not interested in that. We're more interested to find out what's going on with Pantherflea's channel. Is he coming back? It's just you know, that's just the way it is. So anyway,
Yeah,
with that.
very true.
With that, I'm going to go because we've been on too long. And as I said, there are other streams ongoing later, and people need to watch
Yep.
those. Either Every Good Name is Taken or Amunet. And
How
with that,
about Martin Dogger and also?
they're not in.
Are they also
They're
streaming?
not playing. They're not playing.
Oh, so they're knocked out as well.
No, Martin Dogger couldn't put a team together for various reasons.
Oh, no.
He was planning to, but something came up in real life.
Oh, no.
And Asamat in Rib got knocked out, and Meadsy
Oh, dear.
joined Amunet. So that's just the way it goes.
I see.
Anyway, right, with that, thank you very much, guys, and I'll talk to you all later. Until then, I really should watch the last of Layla's replay in the Hellcat before we knock the stream on the head, because she's done almost 3,000 damage now.
Oh man. Oh my goodness.
So it would be slightly harsh. Oh, I've got a parcel. That's nice. I wonder what I've got. I hope it's my Vietnamese soldiers. That's going to go with my little diorama that I'm doing at the moment. Yeah, I'm a boring song. But do you want to see it? I'll show. Actually, look. That's my little Vietnamese. It's my Vietnamese soldiers, American soldiers for Vietnam. And I'll quickly show you because some people are still there. And you might. It's going to bore everybody, but I'm halfway through doing it. But this is what I'm working on at the moment. If the thing will show, I don't know if it will. So it's a big gun. It's the M107, and it's meant to be in like a K-SAM type setting. So picture's not very good, but that's why I'm waiting for the soldiers, because the men are going to go there somewhere. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. There we go. Now I've just bored everybody even more, showing you how nerdy I can be. And with that, Layla did get a mastery there, so that's very good. And we can finish the stream finally. And again, guys, thanks for the chat. Thanks for jumping on. It's been fantastic. And I will catch you all again soon. Don't forget, either Amunet or Every Good Name is Taken. They're on later today, doing the realistic tournament final grouping. And with